Chapter 26. The moon is bright and the stars are sparse. Tonight is destined to be a restless night for Hisoka. Saba, Shibuya abandoned residential area, in an abandoned corridor. Hisoka walked into the corridor alone and went up the stairs to the 4th floor. We arrived at the door of room 401, which is where the Phantom Troupe will gather tonight. Boom boom boom. Bang! Hisoka knocked on the door, and 2 or 3 seconds later, a soft female voice came from the door. Hisoka, you're late. The person who came was the 3rd member of Phantom Troupe, Maki. Long time no see, Maki. Hisoka greeted Shizuku enthusiastically. In Phantom Troupe, Hisoka rarely communicates with other members, except Maki. As a support member of the Phantom Troupe, her role is even greater than that of the leader Chrollo. Maki's nin is to transform thoughts into thin and long threads. The means of attack is to strangle the opponent with a thread, and the main function of the thread is to suture wounds for treatment and fix dislocated joints. Maki can even suture blood vessels, bones, nerves and muscles 100% perfectly at super fast speeds. Who wouldn't love such a beautiful and powerful auxiliary doctor? Hisoka is of course no exception. Come in quickly. Hisoka. You are already half an hour late. The meeting is over. The leader wants to assign you a task individually. Maki led Hisoka through the cluttered living room and into the innermost bedroom of the house. Because this building has been vacant for a long time and due to the humid coastal climate, the wooden floor has become moldy and leaking. Every time Hisoka took a step, the worn-out floor creaked. Before coming, Hisoka deliberately delayed and did not arrive at the designated time. Based on his understanding of Chrollo, every time all members are called together, tasks are assigned to each member, and these tasks are unknown to each other. Therefore, the phenomenon occurs that those who come first take on the task and leave. Hisoka seized this opportunity and created a time difference with Illumi, waiting for the other members to leave Chrollo before finding an opportunity to take action. Now, Hisoka's heart can no longer be restrained, and the desire to fight Chrollo has reached its peak. He. Hisoka laughed secretly. Bang! Maki opened the bedroom door, and Hisoka entered the room, looking at everything inside. In the small room, Chrollo sat on an old sofa in the middle of the room with Nobunaga and Yuvajin standing on his left and right. Really? Chrollo must have at least 2 members following him. Long time no see, everyone. Hisoka raised his right hand and greeted the people in the room. As he raised his hand, the 5 fingers of his left hand shook flexibly. Hisoka, you are late. You are half an hour late. Do you know how angry I am that you made us wait for you for half an hour longer? Yuvajin clenched his right fist and punched it twice in the air at Hisoka, venting his dissatisfaction. The swinging fist created a gust of wind in the air, which brushed across Hisoka's cheek and blew his fiery red curly hair. Don't be angry. Yuvajin, I don't want to be late, but you can't guarantee that every day will go smoothly, right? Hisoka said with a smile. Okay, Yuvajin, you, Nobunaga, and Maki go out first. I'll give Hisoka a task alone. After receiving Chrollo's instructions, the 3 of them left the room. When the room returned to silence, Chrollo spoke slowly. Hisoka, we will meet at Yokiksen City in a week. I want you to arrive on time. Then, you will meet Nobunaga. Okay, Captain. Chrollo's style of issuing tasks is so concise, and the entire content of the task is contained in one sentence. Hisoka was obviously familiar with Chrollo's style, and he nodded in tacit approval. Still standing there, staring at Chrollo with a smile, anything else? Hisoka. Chrollo asked. Of course, Captain. What about the decisive battle you promised me before? Oh, Chrollo sneered when he heard this. As expected, Hisoka was still the same Hisoka. When he was alone with him, he would always find opportunities to challenge him to a decisive battle. Chrollo knew that Hisoka's purpose in joining the Phantom Troupe was to fight him. But he didn't want to fight Hisoka right now. This is meaningless to Chrollo. Nobunaga, Yuvajin, come in. At this moment, Chrollo doesn't want to discuss the duel with Hisoka, and the best way now is to let Nobunaga and Yuvajin deal with Hisoka. This is how we did it before. As soon as he finished speaking, Yuvajin's angry voice came from outside the door, Nobunaga, what are you doing? Boom. As Chrollo looked puzzled, the bedroom door opened with a sword energy. Maki, get out of the way, I can't control myself. Nobunaga held the long knife in his hand and slashed at Maki who was standing next to him. Maki's body was already cut by Nobunaga's sword, leaving a long bloody wound. The wound was like a small fountain, spraying blood into the air. At this moment, Maki was looking at Nobunaga in disbelief as he swung the knife at him again. She didn't understand why her former friend attacked her. Hisoka, who was standing in the middle of the room, had a smile on his face, and his expression changed from a smile to a gloomy look. His eyes were fixed on Crollo, as if he was looking at his prey, full of a perverted desire to destroy his prey. He stretched out his hands and turned them gracefully in the air. His nimble fingers danced in the air like fluttering butterflies. Ha ha ha! At this moment, Hisoka was dominated by desire and instinct, and every laugh sounded like a low moan from the devil. Breathtaking. As Hisoka waved his hands, Maki and Yuvajin behind him began to attack each other uncontrollably, and the three of them started a melee mode. Maki, get out of the way. What the hell is going on? My body, is out of control. It's Hisoka, it's stretchable love, he's controlling our bodies. Damn it, Hisoka, what the hell are you going to do? The change happened so fast, it all happened in an instant, and Crollo had no time to react. Nobunaga and the other two have completed the first wave of attacks on each other. At this time, Crollo's face was dark and the anger in his eyes could no longer be concealed. Hisoka, do you want to die? In the Phantom Troupe, killing each other is prohibited. Moreover, the most important thing is that the three Nobunaga were brought out from Meteor City by Crollo. The importance of these three people in Crollo's heart far exceeds that of the outsider Hisoka. There is no doubt that Hisoka's actions today have touched Crollo's sore spot. However, Hisoka didn't care at all. Chapter 27. Crollo, please me as much as you can. Ha ha ha! Hisoka is almost insane, and is completely obsessed with the idea of defeating Crollo. His goal in life is to find prey, and his interest is to cultivate strong enemies and then defeat them. This is what Hisoka life is all about. He has been waiting for this moment for a long time. Crollo, who was standing not far from Hisoka, had already activated his Nin Thief's ultimate intention. Crollo is a special type Nin user. In addition to his super combat ability, his Nin is also very powerful. Thief's Ultimate, this is a materialized book that can be used to steal other people's Nin. The side whose Nin is stolen cannot use that Nin again. However, such a powerful Nin also has many limitations. This world is very fair. While gaining great power, you will also gain corresponding restrictions. This is also the essence of vows and constraints. Thief's Ultimate, stealing and using must meet the following conditions. A. To successfully steal Nin, the following 4 conditions must be met, otherwise it will fail. See the other person's strength with your own eyes. Ask questions related to the other person's Nin and get their answers. Have the other person place his or her hand on the handprint on the book cover. All conditions 1 to 3 must be completed within 1 hour. B. To use the stolen power, materialize the book in your right hand and turn to the page where you want to use the Nin. C. The stolen Nin will be automatically erased from the book when the stolen party dies, and it can no longer be used. As the pages of the book in his hand turned, Crollo had already begun to attack Hisoka. Call out! Crollo moved quickly and rushed to Hisoka in one step. He swung his fist wrapped in telekinesis towards Hisoka's head, venting his dissatisfaction. Ka! When the fist was about to hit Hisoka's face, it stopped in mid-air. Not only that, Crollo was also frozen in mid-air, like a controlled puppet. Crollo, who was frozen in the air, narrowed his eyes slightly, and the telekinesis in his body moved quietly and concentrated in his eyes. From the attacks between Nobunaga and the other two just now to the fact that he was being controlled now, Crollo knew that there must be something invisible controlling himself and Nobunaga and the others. When condensation was activated, transparent threads in the air slowly appeared in Crollo's sight. He saw, seeing that Nobunaga, Yuvajin and Maki were tied with several silk threads, and the threads extended all the way to the roof, Crollo's eyes finally fixed on Hisoka's knuckles. As expected, it was Hisoka who was controlling everything in the house. Was it elastic love? Crollo said to himself, now that he had discovered the truth that he, Nobunaga and the others were being controlled, the next step was to find a solution. As the leader of the Phantom Troupe, Crollo has a calm personality, unfathomable strength, and can manage his facial expressions even when facing any powerful enemy. He always has a poker face and will never let others read any of his thoughts from his expression. But today, Hisoka's abnormal behavior caused a ripple in Crollo's heart. If there is a ranking of the most unpredictable people in the Phantom Troupe, Hisoka would definitely be at the top. But from what Crollo knows about Hisoka, he is an extremely stable person. The stable here means that as long as Hisoka's requirements are met, he will abide by all the rules you set. Therefore, even though Chrollo knew that Hisoka joined the brigade to fight him, he still tolerated him in the brigade. He used the excuse of a duel between him and himself to keep Hisoka hanging, and borrowed his powerful fighting power to work for the brigade. However, today this balance was broken by Hisoka. What exactly is he relying on? Chrollo was puzzled, but the pages of the book in his hand had already begun to flip in the wind. Swish, swish, swish. Mangekyo with broken tail launch. A layer of light blue telekinesis began to adhere to the surface of Chrollo's black coat wrapped in silk threads, and the light blue telekinesis clung to the silk threads that bound him. Call out! Chrollo shook his limbs and slid out of the silk strings that bound him. Gecko with broken tail, a special nin that attaches its telekinesis to the object that controls it, forming a layer of blue oil film, which not only achieves a smooth effect but also facilitates the nin's escape. The price is that every time it is used, hair on a certain part of the body will disappear for a week. Chrollo escaped from Hisoka's control and felt that the hair somewhere on his body had disappeared, which was like a breeze blowing on his balls. Fortunately, we can start counterattacking next. Call out! Chrollo raised his right hand and activated hard. The energy in his body began to gather on the index and middle fingers of his right hand. 100% of the mind in his body gathered on his fingertips, turning into a sharp blade. It chopped straight at the transparent silk thread that controlled Nobunaga and the other two. Thump, thump, thump. There was a crackling sound of a taut rope breaking in the air, and Nobunaga and the other two instantly stopped attacking each other. It's really abominable, Hisoka, you deserve to die. Yuvajin, who was freed from the control of the silk thread, had a ferocious face, gnashed his teeth, and wished he could tear Hisoka to pieces immediately. His face flushed, his muscles tensed, he swung his fists with anger and roared. Super Destruction Punch, boom! Before the fist was thrown, the accumulated aura made the surrounding air begin to emit an explosive sound, causing pain in everyone's eardrums. This punch was as powerful as a small missile, and it represented Yuvajin's endless hatred for Hisoka. The damn guy actually controlled Nobunaga and injured Maki. Hisoka turned his back to Yuvajin and faced his fierce punches. Even though the punches scratched his cheek, he still didn't move a step. Yuvajin, you should also taste your own fist. Sure enough, return the fist. Hisoka raised the corners of his mouth and laughed arrogantly, making his gloomy face look even more terrifying. A small red and white ball flew out of Hisoka's waist pocket, and a white light flashed. Crash! There was a loud bang in the sky, and the fruit god made a brilliant appearance. When Yuvajin's fist was about to hit Hisoka, sure enough, Ong flew out of the poke ball, stood in front of Hisoka, opened his arms, and shouted, Sonasi! Return punch launch! The blue jelly-like figure flashes with colorful light, and the eyes express the determination to protect the trainer to the death. When Yuvajin's fist hit the body of the old man like a missile, boom! A loud noise like an explosion suddenly sounded in the small room. The collision between the two people caused gusts of air in the house, and even blew Maki to the ground. Bun! Yuvajin lost. Chapter 28. Return fist, rebound all physical attacks and cause double damage. Yuvajin's Super Destroyer Punch is more powerful than a small missile. In addition, several people are currently in a small bedroom, and the Super Destruction Fist condenses all the power, condenses and condenses again. All the strength is concentrated in one fist. But the turnaround happened too fast. Guo Shen's return fist will be a Super Destruction Fist, all the power will be returned with double the damage. The deafening explosion sounded into the ears of everyone present. Yuvajin, who was at the center of the sound, felt a pool of blood burst out of his ears. Boom boom boom. The damage caused by return fist knocked Yuvajin's huge body away and shattered one wall after another. The dong dong sound lasted for nearly 10 seconds before it finally stopped. The end. Sure enough, Ong stood behind Hisoka, with his arms open, protecting the trainer behind him. Quarren Wing, the strongest shield. What is this? Nobunaga exclaimed. He held Maki in his arms, stood a few meters away from Quarren Wing, and did not dare to move. Nobunaga, take Maki to find Yuvajin, I'm here. But, Captain. Nobunaga wanted to say something but was immediately interrupted by Chrollo. Let's go. I'm the leader, listen to me. Hisoka, don't you want to fight me one-on-one? Let Nobunaga and the others leave. The current situation does not allow Chrollo to think too much, as Hisoka's strength is beyond his imagination. After not seeing each other for a month, Chrollo could no longer see through Hisoka's methods. Chrollo understood that Hisoka's idea was simple, he just wanted to fight him one-on-one, and if Nobunaga and the others stayed here, he would only be restricted. Besides, this pervert Hisoka is likely to kill Nobunaga and the other two and then fight with me. Hisoka stood there, looking at the ruined hut, and squatted on the ground. Give them 3 minutes to leave here. And, Ilmi, why don't you come out? Call out. Ilmi jumped into the house from the tree outside and stood next to Hisoka. Don't worry. Don't worry. I will help you keep an eye on Nobunaga and the other two. After the task is completed, I want to know the answer I came up with. Certainly. A minute later, Hisoka and Chrollo were the only ones left in the cabin. Hisoka's long-awaited one-on-one showdown with Chrollo is finally about to begin. At this time, Chrollo took a small step back, creating some distance between himself and Hisoka, and used the condensation technique all the time. The fight just now made Chrollo realize that Hisoka's ability was still within the realm of mind. Condensation could still see the transparent threads released by Hisoka. Chrollo was shocked by Hisoka's change, but his calm personality allowed him to keep a poker face. I started analyzing Hisoka's abilities in my heart. Hisoka's ability is called Stretchable Love, which allows him to turn his energy into chewing gum and stick it to his enemies, thereby restricting their movements. The longer the chi is stretched, the greater the force with which it can be retracted, but if the chi leaves Hisoka's body and stretches more than 10 meters, it will break. This room is too small. Chrollo thought to himself. Airtight chamber activated. Swish, swish, swish. Chrollo flipped the pages of the book in his hand, and a dark purple thought surged out of his body, slowly enveloping the surrounding walls. Oh! What ability is that? Hisoka narrowed his eyes and carefully looked at the changes around him. Even though Hisoka has obtained the ability of the string fruit, he still doesn't dare to relax. He is well aware of Chrollo's power. The leader of the Phantom Troupe is calm and thoughtful. With Nen, Thief's ultimate, he can steal other people's Nen. Hisoka also doesn't know how many types of Nen Chrollo has mastered. It is better to be careful. Airtight chamber, manipulator Nen materializes an airtight telekinetic chamber, which is a 20-20-20 rectangular box. The telekinetic chamber exists independently of the external space and can trap enemies and oneself. In the telekinetic chamber, the caster's telekinesis will be doubled. The chamber cannot be broken from the inside and lasts for 10 minutes. This move can be said to have the advantage of the first move in a one-on-one duel. The caster's mental power is directly increased by 2 times, and the secret room cannot be broken from the inside. This eliminates the possibility of Hisoka escaping. However, powerful abilities also come at a price. Airtight secret room not only traps the opponent, but also traps oneself. If the caster cannot defeat the opponent, he is like a lamb caught in a wolf's den. Moreover, the cooling time of this move is as long as 24 hours, or 1 day. Hisoka also felt the existence of the telekinetic chamber at this time, but this made him even more excited. 5-colored thread. Call out. Hisoka raised his right hand and spread out his 5 fingers, creating a nearly transparent thin thread from each of his 5 fingers, and made a beast claw gesture to let the 5 threads grab Chrollo. The transparent thread, which is as hard as steel, will cut Chrollo's body into 8 pieces like cutting melons and vegetables once it touches his body. He. Hisoka laughed secretly. But how could Chrollo just sit there and wait for death? The reason he was able to survive to this day, besides his great strength, was his smart brain. The Nen he collected are also complementary to each other. When airtight secret room is activated, fish swimming in secret room will follow. Fish swimming in a closed room, the materialized mind fish can only survive in a closed space. People bitten by the mind fish will not feel pain, bleed, or die until the mind fish disappears. Nyanya plays as a support, Chrollo is the main attacker. The blessing of double mental power doubles his combat power. With the power of telekinesis, he rushed to Hisoka in 1 step, clenched his right fist, and with double the power of telekinesis, smashed it hard into Hisoka's face. Captain Chrollo, you are really amazing. With double the telekinesis, even I have to retreat 3 points. Hisoka goes all out and starts fighting with Chrollo. Super whip. Dozens of nearly transparent thin threads spurted out from the palm of his hand, and then these threads were twisted together to form a thick thread column like hair. Then stretch this line back as far as possible. When it stretches back and hits the enemy in front, it can cut the opponent's body in half, and even cut a high-rise building in half in an instant. The string. Raise your index finger and put away the other fingers, and let the thin wire created from the fingertips shoot out at high speed like a gun. Its destructive power is strong enough to penetrate human bones with one shot, and it can easily hit the target even if the opponent is far away. Foot shaving line. 8 nearly transparent thin threads are created from the toes, and the straight kicks released by the sharp threads are enough to send the opponent flying with one blow. Chapter 29. On the other side, Ilmi was leading Ranranong and dragging Nobunaga and the other two. Sure enough, use the counter punch. The end. While Illumi was holding back the attacks of Nobunaga and Maki, he also directed Ranran to use return fist to counter Yuvijan's attack. After receiving his own super destruction punch which had double the damage, most of Yuvijan's ribs were broken. The strong body and internal organs were shifted in the abdomen due to this blow. However, as an enhancer nin, Yuvijan has forged his body into the best weapon. A few broken ribs, what's the big deal? The blessing of mental power makes your body as strong as a rock. Yuvijan is the main attacker, Nobunaga is the feint attacker, Maki is the assister, and they roam around and harass continuously. Nobunaga is also an enhancer nin, but his nin application skill is to strengthen the blade. The long sword in his hand is Nobunaga's reliance. If you accidentally enter Nobunaga's attack range, his IAI slash will be so fast that it will chop off your head before you have any reaction. Buzz. Nobunaga swings his blade, and the sword energy is everywhere. Countless blades swept towards Ilmi from all directions. The end. Mirror reflection is activated. Nobunaga's sword energy is an external special attack move condensed by nin. As expected, Ongo God is born with the ability to distinguish between special attacks and normal attacks. Therefore, his cooperation with Ilmi can be said to complement each other. Maki, are you still unable to contact the other members? Nobunaga shouted. Ever since the two men found Yuvijan, Maki has been trying to use electronic devices to notify the departing Phantom Troupe members. But there is no signal at all in this place. Nobunaga, there is no signal in this place. Hisoka did something hateful. Nobunaga swung the knife in his hand faster, his heart was full of urgency, he wanted to get back to Crollo as soon as possible. In the hearts of the Phantom Troupe members, the leader was above everything else. It's really. Damn it. Yuvijan, who was standing aside, looked at Quaranwang who was standing in front of him, gnashed his teeth and roared helplessly. No matter how many punches he threw, even if his fists were already flying sparks, but I just can't break Guo Ranwang's defense. This was the first time that the stubborn Yuvijan encountered such a strange creature, which not only blocked his attacks but also doubled the damage. The more this happened, the faster he swung his fists. Boom boom boom. During Ilmi's defense, a thought butterfly appeared before his eyes. This was one of the Zaldik family's means of transmitting information. Every member of the Zaldik family, no matter where they are, can be found by the message delivering Niandi. While dodging Nobunaga's attack, Illumi crushed the mind butterfly and information began to flow into his brain. According to reliable information, a merchant selling blind boxes appeared at the Sky Arena. The blind boxes he sold could reveal items from all the heavens and worlds. President Netero got an item from there that could restore his peak physical strength. The message was very brief, but Ilmi immediately connected some recent events from the message. Sky Arena. Blind box merchant. A blind box that can reveal all the heavens and worlds. And Hisoka's abilities. It turns out that Hisoka got her ability from a blind box store. Then the person who could stop time that she met at the beginning might have also obtained a supernatural item from a blind box store. Ilmi said secretly. Everything is in place. Now that we know the source of Hisoka's abilities, the family must know the location of the blind box store. Even if they don't, I can go to the Sky Arena and find it sooner or later. There is no need to continue this procrastination war any longer. Ilmi grabbed Quaranwang's slender blue waist, held it in his arms, and ran towards the distance. He had persisted in this delaying war for nearly 30 minutes, and doing so for free was already a very professional act. With a whoosh, Ilmi and Quaranong disappeared into the dark night. On the other side, Nobunaga and the other two looked at Ilmi leaving without asking too much questions. The three of them quickened their pace and ran towards the gathering place. When the three of them arrived at the residential building, the scene before them made them tremble with shock. Where are the residential buildings? The 6-story residential building had now been destroyed into countless small pieces. The wreckage of the building scattered on the ground had smooth surfaces at the breaks, just like a watermelon cut with a knife. Where's the captain? Where's Hisoka? What on earth just happened here? The leader wouldn't be killed by Hisoka. Shut up, the leader is so powerful, how could he be killed by Hisoka? As they were talking, a black shadow appeared at the feet of Nobunaga and the other two, and a blood-stained hand stretched out from the shadow. Grab Uvijin's ankles. Uvijin felt the cold touch on his ankle, his whole body tensed up, and he jumped straight into the air. Nobunaga, look at what's on my ankle. Following Uvijin's shout, Nobunaga looked at Uvijin's ankle and saw a bloody man being carried into the air by Uvijin. Nobunaga, that's the leader. Captain. Inside a clinic in Saba City. This is a secret gathering place for the Phantom Troupe. The bloody Crollo has been rescued by Maki and is lying on the hospital bed with his body bandaged. The eyebrows on his face and the hair on his head were gone. Uvijin, Nobunaga, and Maki sat next to Crollo and listened to him describe what had just happened. Crollo still underestimated Hisoka's strength, and finally escaped from Hisoka's attack with the help of Nin Dark Shadow in the Dark Night. However, he also caused unpredictable damage to Hisoka. Dark Shadow in the Dark Night, a special knowledge type Nin that can only be activated in the dark. Before activation, you must first continuously infuse Nin with telekinesis for a month to create a shadow substitute for yourself. Only one can be stored at a time. When shadow substitute is activated, the caster can dive into the shadow and let the shadow substitute take his place and bear the damage. He then went into the shadow, and the shadow substitute blocked 70% of the damage for the original body. In this duel with Hisoka, Crollo used all of his combined Nin. Gecko with broken tail, airtight chamber, fish swimming in chamber, double rings passing through time and space, dark shadows in the dark night. Control, attack, defense, escape, every aspect of the skills is comprehensive. However, even so, Hisoka's silk thread still has endless moves, forcing him into a desperate situation. Captain, Hisoka's sudden attack this time, I don't think that ability is like stretchable love. Maki said. She has more contact with Hisoka than other members. This time, the transparent silk thread in the air clearly did not conform to the two characteristics of stretchable love, chewing gum and rubber. Yes, that kind of silk thread is harder than steel and more resilient than rubber. Chapter 30. Crollo, lying on the hospital bed, recalled the scene when he fought with Hisoka. From the beginning to the end of this battle, it seemed that the opponent did not use stretchable love, and he did not feel the existence of telekinesis on those transparent threads. A power that transcends telekinesis. What on earth has Hisoka been experiencing during this period of time? And the blue creature was actually able to hit back at Uvijin's fist. Captain, what are you thinking about? Maki, who was sitting beside Crollo's bed, asked the captain who had dazed eyes. Nobunaga and Uvijin were also attracted by Maki's words and looked at Crollo. I was thinking about today's battle with Hisoka, and that blue creature. Speaking of blue creatures, Uvijin and Nobunaga's faces changed. Captain, that creature is too weird. It doesn't have strong attack power, but it can rebound the attacks from me and Nobunaga and hit back twice as hard. With that guy Ilmi getting in the way, we can't support you at all. Uvijin said angrily. Captain, it's strange. When Ilmi and the blue creature were trying to stop us, a mind butterfly suddenly appeared, as if conveying some information. After that, he cursed Hisoka and left. Nobunaga added. While speaking, Crollo suddenly thought of something, changed the subject and looked at Maki. Maki, have you treated Hisoka's injuries in the Sky Arena before? Maki nodded, yes, what's the matter, Captain? Did Hisoka stay in the Sky Arena for a long time? Crollo already had some guess in his mind. Maki nodded again. At this time, Nobunaga seemed to understand something and spoke. Captain, do you mean that Hisoka's transformation, that powerful ability was obtained in the Sky Arena? It's very likely. Wait for 2 days, and when I recover, we'll go to the Sky Arena together. On the other side, Hisoka, dragging his seriously injured body, meets Ilmi at a gathering point in Saba City. Inside the safe house, Hisoka leaned against the wall of the safe house, the threads in his body moving slowly, mending the wounds inside. This is another application of the thread fruit he developed, repairing thread. It can be said that Hisoka developed these skills of the string fruit, most likely influenced by the remaining memories of Dover in the devil fruit. The development direction is based on the ideas of Flamingo. Look, You're anxious again? Hisoka said, panting and looking at Illumi with a cold face in front of him. After he returned to the safe house, he learned that Illumi already knew about the existence of the Wanja blind box shop. So, it doesn't matter much if he gives up blocking. After all, he had already finished the battle with Crollo in just 20 minutes. Crollo is worthy of being the leader of the Phantom Troupe. A few simple nen combined with each other can create miraculous effects. Even with the help of the string fruit, he only repelled Crollo but did not truly defeat him. Hisoka, I'm leaving and going to the blind box shop. Illumi said goodbye to Hisoka. Now he just wanted to hurry to the Sky Arena to see the magical blind box shop. Hisoka nodded but said nothing. The next second, Illumi turned around and disappeared into the house. In the small safe house, only Hisoka, Quarren, and his elf were left. Sure enough, when Wang saw the injured Hisoka, his little eyes drooped instantly. It felt very frustrated because it couldn't help its trainer Hisoka because it didn't master any healing moves. At this moment, all he could do was open his arms and hug the injured Hisoka, hoping to comfort him. Sure enough, the embrace of Mr. Wang made Hisoka feel warm. Looking at the chubby blue elf in front of him, Hisoka smiled. Sure enough, Wang, I will be back to normal in 2 days. Then I will take you to buy some delicious food. The end. That night, Hisoka's heart underwent some changes because of the presence of Ran Wang. Here, Mo Lin finished a day of hard training. Now he strictly follows his training schedule to practice Nen in the hunter world. 7 o'clock, get up. 7 to 7:20, brush your teeth. 7:20 to 8 o'clock, have breakfast. 8 to 8:30, take Charmander for a walk and do some light exercise. 8:30 to 8:35, practice Nen. 8:35 to 1 am, play for a while. 1 to 7 o'clock, sleep. Looking back on his daily life, Mo Lin feels distressed. He cannot sustain such a high-intensity life for more than 3 days. Sour Mo Lin grabbed the little Charmander that was rolling on the ground, held it in front of him, and shouted loudly. Charmander, how could you be so depraved? If you do nothing every day like this, when will you be able to evolve into a Charizard? Charmander? W.A. Law. W.A. Law. You farted. You actually said that to me. That's how you treat your trainer. As a punishment, you won't have any chicken legs to eat today. After spending a long time with Charmander, Mo Lin can already understand the meaning of Verwella from its words. After playing with Charmander, Mo Lin began to call up the host panel to check his gains. Recently, Mo Lin has used up all of his 2000 blind box points. It's a pity that the gods can't save the innocent, and money can't change fate. I don't know what's going on recently, but the things that come out of blind boxes are getting worse and worse, so bad that Mo Lin even doubts whether the developer of this blind box system is the Gokha Group. The drop rate must be 65,000 to produce a golden legend? Mo Lin checked the 2 purple items he had recently obtained, both of which were opened from high-end blind boxes. Emperor Engine, from the world of One Punch Man, it is the best weapon to scare the enemy, but be careful not to show off, because you don't know the great summoning technique, summon the bald demon king. God's Alibi, from the hunter world, also known as the breath-holding disappearance method. As long as I hold my breath long enough, others won't be able to detect me. By owner of Wanja Blind Box Store, Mo Lin Nen, None Personal Skills, Nen's 4 Basic Skills, World Stand, God's Alibi, Emperor Engine Own Blind Box, No Items, 3 Fairy Beans, a Bamboo Dragonfly, a Small Fire Dragon, a Rainbow Fruit, a Primary Fairy Body Blind Box Points 0. The current total revenue of the Blind Box Store is 4.501 billion yuan. After checking his host panel, Mo Lin lay back on his recliner. He crossed his legs, rocked in the recliner, and thought about the current situation of the customers. Mo Lin's top priority now is to earn 10 billion jin. When the blind box store earns 10 billion jin, it will be upgraded to the 2nd level. The upgraded blind box store will unlock more new features. The main returning customers of the blind box store are Gon, Killua, Netero, Hisoka Gon and Killua are currently in their hometown, Whale Island. Netero is working with Zeno in the Kajin Empire. The last time we saw that guy Hisoka, he was with Illumi. My golden leeks. When can you come to my house again? Chapter 31. Today, the sun is shining and the sky is cloudless. Wanja Blind Box Store opened on time at 8 o'clock in the morning. Mo Lin brought Charmander to the store to perform the second set of National Primary School Students' Radio Gymnastics, The Rising Sun. Ready, get up. Stepping exercise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Charmander follows Mo Lin's rhythm with his short legs and swings his arms. He was still shouting wow. Wow. It's important to stay healthy, Charmander, get moving. WA law. WA law? You forced me to wake up before I even woke up. When doing full body exercise, bang, the door of the blind box store was pushed open. Mo Lin and Charmander's morning exercises were also interrupted by this sudden change. Boss Mo Lin, long time no see. I'm here to bother you again. A steady and low voice came from outside the door. Oh. Our Golden League president Netero is here. Oh my god. He also brought new leaks. There were two people following Netero into the store, one was a hunched old man with his hands behind his back, and the other was a sturdy middle-aged man with disheveled hair. As soon as the two entered the blind box store, information about the two appeared in Mo Lin's mind. Bent over old man. Name, Xeno Zaldique race, human identity, member of the Zaldique family, Killua's grandfather strength, hard to beat emitting middle-aged people. Name, Silva Zaldique race, human identity, member of the Zaldique family, Killua's father strength, hard to beat someone from the Zaldique family. Mo Lin said secretly. Mo Lin didn't know much about the Zaldique family. He only knew that it was the world's #1 assassin family, and that the family was located in the Dentora region of the Republic of Batokia, Kukulu Mountain. There is also a terrifying creature from the Dark Continent in the family, Nanaga, who shares a body with a Luka Zaldique. However, what Mo Lin cares most about is the identity of the world's #1 killer family, which proves that the Zaldique family must be very rich. Big customer. Mo Lin's originally sleepy eyes suddenly shot out two rays of light, and a smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. Welcome, Mr. Xeno and Mr. Silva of the Zaldique family. The Wanja blind box store has just opened. The rules of the store are all on the whiteboard on the wall. Just tell me when you buy. After Mo Lin pointed to the whiteboard on the wall, he returned to Charmander and held him on the bench. On the other hand, Silva and Xeno were shocked when Mo Lin revealed his origins and name. The two looked at Netero beside them, wanting to know something from him. Pa! Netero slapped his head. Oh! I forgot to tell you that as long as you enter the blind box store, Manager Mo Lin will know the customer's information. In Mo Lin's blind box store, the most shocking thing is the items that come out of the blind boxes. I heard from Boss Mo Lin that the items in this blind box come from all over the world. As he spoke, Netero looked at Mo Lin, who was sitting at the counter and playing with Charmander, with an unusual depth in his eyes. Netero was very concerned about Mo Lin's existence. During this period, he was not idle and used his power as the president of the Hunter Association. After investigating Mo Lin's identity, it turned out that there was no such person as Mo Lin in the official records. If there is someone in this world who has no official record, he or she can only appear in Meteor Street, a place abandoned by the whole world. But there was another possibility, which Netero had always kept in his heart. Is Mo Lin, the owner of the blind box shop, from the Dark Continent? Human society is only a small part of this world. Netero once traveled to the Dark Continent when he was young. Knowing more about the taboos of the Dark Continent, it is simply a forbidden area for humans. Even the strongest human being like Netero does not dare to go too deep. However, the existence of Mo Lin blind box store makes Netero's heart restless to go to the Dark Continent again. Here, you can gain power that does not belong to this world. Maybe, Boss Mo Lin doesn't belong to this world at all. Boss Mo Lin, give me 20 high-end blind boxes first. Let me try them first. After Xeno checked the rules written on the whiteboard on the wall, he already had a general impression of the blind box store. In a blind box store, as long as you abide by the rules of the blind box store, there will be no problems. Here, as long as you have money you can buy blind boxes. The higher the level of the blind box, the higher the probability of getting good things. And this was exactly what Xeno wanted. The Zaldique family didn't have much, but a lot of money. As the world's #1 assassin family, the wealth accumulated by the Zaldique family through generations of assassination missions is unimaginable. If you don't take action, you won't know. Once you take action, it will cost 2 billion GNI. Hearing about 20 high-end blind boxes, the smile on Mo Lin's face became even brighter. You are so rich. The first time I bought blind boxes, I bought 20 high-end blind boxes to test the waters. The world's #1 killer family is different. So handsome. Ding, spending 2 billion ringgits. As the sound of the pose machine sounded, 20 high-end blind boxes appeared on the small counter table. Zeno and Silva looked at the high-end blind boxes on the table that were as smooth as jade and exclaimed. Advanced Zeno and Silva looked at each other, and they divided the 20 high-end blind boxes into 2. Testing the waters begins. 10 consecutive draws, start. The moment the blind box was opened, Netero also walked to the counter and joined in the fun. The most exciting and thrilling thing about opening a blind box is the moment the blind box is opened, a golden light shines out from the small blind box. The moment I saw the golden light, the adrenaline in my body began to surge. Cool. White light continued to shine from the blind box, 1, 2, 3. Seeing this, Zeno's face became gloomy. This explosion rate seems a bit low. Why is it all white? Until the last blind box in front of Zeno was opened, a golden light shot out from it. Golden Legend. Netero, who was standing aside watching the fun, shouted. Everyone who sees others opening blind boxes will be curious about what the Golden Legend China contains. It's no surprise that someone as strong as Netero is. On Silva's side, only a purple light appeared. With 9 white and 1 purple, the explosion rate was so low that it was heartbreaking. The golden light dissipated, and a broken blade floated in the air, with a black handle and half a blade. The surface of the blade was covered with blue stripes and broken patterns, like pieces of a puzzle, and the purple light of the blade flickered in the house. Information about it also appeared in Mo Lin's mind. Demon Knife 1000 Blades, from the Assassins 5, 6, and 7 worlds, it only attacks and does not defend. It is unparalleled in the world. Chapter 32. Boss Mo Lin, what is this? Looking at the demonic sword 1000 blades floating in the air, Zeno was attracted by the mysterious aura it exuded. Just from the breath, one can feel the terrifying aura of this broken blade. It's called the demonic blade 1000 blades. It's a powerful weapon. The blade is made up of thousands of fragments. Only a truly powerful person can tame it. Interestingly, the previous owner of this knife was the chief shadow assassin in their world. And there is only one comment about this sword, the magic sword with 1000 blades, it can only attack but not defend, it is unparalleled in the world. As long as you hold this knife, you can make him recognize you as your master. Buzz. Only attack, no defense, unrivaled in the world. When Mo Lin read out these 8 words kept echoing in the minds of Zeno and Silva. An indescribable shock surged from my heart to the top of my head. Only attack, no defense, unrivaled in the world. Only attack, no defense, unrivaled in the world. Zeno kept repeating these 8 words as he looked at the knife, as if he had an innate sense of familiarity with it. That is the mutual respect between the strong and the divine weapons. This old man. Just as Zeno was about to reach out to grab the knife, a strong and thick hand rose up and knocked Zeno's right hand away. The magic sword has 1000 blades, it can only attack but not defend, it is unmatched in the world. Good. 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 Silva looked at Zeno and laughed. Father, when I saw this knife, I felt an innate sense of familiarity in my heart. This knife is meant for me, so I... Pa. Before Silva could finish his words, a dry, thin hand hit Silva's right hand heavily. You little brat, do you know how to respect the elderly and love the young? I'm your father. I got this knife from a blind box. It is reasonable that this knife should belong to me. Zeno snapped. Father, you are old. I am now the head of the Zaldik family. With this, I will become stronger and it will be easier to complete missions. Boy, you are so powerful now that you don't even listen to me. Father boy. When everyone's eyes in the blind box store were focused on the father and son fighting for the demonic sword 1000 blades, a green figure appeared in the blind box store. The 2 people quarreled in the blind box store over the ownership of the demon sword 1000 blades, but due to the blind box store rules set by Mo Lin, fighting and loud noises were prohibited in the store. The conversation between the 2 was gentle and soft, and the physical contact was limited to knocking away the other's hand that was about to hold the knife. Pa! Suddenly, a slender hand grasped the handle of the demonic sword 1000 blades. The moment he grasped it, the magic knife, which originally had only half of the blade, flashed a strange purple light, the blade began to vibrate, and a crisp humming sound rang out in the blind box store. Countless broken blades emerged from the air and flew towards the joint of the broken blade. Pieces of fragments were pieced together to form a complete blade. Demon Blade 1000 Blades, is this your name? The owner of the hand murmured. Ilmi, why are you here? Grandson, you actually took my magic sword 1000 Blades. Hateful. The new owner of the Demon Blade 1000 Blades is Ilmi, who arrived late. After parting with Hisoka, he rushed to the Sky Arena without stopping. However, he did not know the exact location of the Wanja blind box store. But when Silva and Zeno appeared here, Ilmi sensed their presence and came over. I sneaked into the store just now and Silva and Zeno didn't notice. Grandpa, the demonic blade Kyunran has recognized its master, so I'm taking the blade. Boss Mo Lin, give me 20 high-end blind boxes. Grandpa, I'll compensate you with 20 high-end blind boxes. The moment he held the demonic sword 1000 Blades, Ilmi learned all the information about the sword. The extreme sword energy penetrated into his body, and the destructive breath made Ilmi lose himself for a moment. Is this how Hisoka felt when he first gained his new powers? Different from the familiar ability of telekinesis, the 1000 Blades of the demon sword brings a completely new experience to Ilmi. That power from another world is so fascinating. Ilmi waved his hand and gave out another 20 high-end blind boxes. Mo Lin, who had been watching the show, felt a tightness in his heart. It looks like we can complete the 10 billion genie mission today. Okay. Sit here and take a rest. Wait, Boss Mo Lin, I want another 20 high-end blind boxes. Silva, who was standing aside, also waved his hand, and the appearance of the magic sword 1000 Blades ignited the fire in his heart. Golden Legend. It's really addictive. Oh. Mo Lin, who was about to enter the warehouse to pick up the blind box, stopped. There are also unexpected gains. 6 billion GNI. Once this order is completed, the mission is completed, and the blind box store can be upgraded to level 2. Ding, spend 2 billion. Ding, spend 2 billion. 2 reminder sounds rang out, and Mo Lin's heart finally settled down. The mission of 10 billion GNI has been completed. Okay, please wait a moment, I'll go get the blind boxes for you too. Mo Lin waved his hand and a soft sofa appeared in the blind box store. Then he turned and entered the warehouse of the blind box store. Mo Lin's move shocked the 3 generations of Zaldik, who were visiting the blind box store for the first time. Transform things out of thin air. President Netero, I've heard you say that Boss Mo Lin has great power. I didn't expect that he could create something out of thin air with just a wave of his hand. It's terrifying, really terrifying. Zeno sighed. Zeno had heard about Mo Lin's deeds from Netero a long time ago, but hearing about it and seeing it with one's own eyes are two different concepts. If there is not even a trace of fluctuation of telekinesis, then it does not belong to Nin. What kind of ability is this? Zeno's worldview is shocked and he can't understand this. Netero, who was standing by, saw what Zeno was thinking and spoke slowly. Not only that, Boss Mo Lin also has the ability to turn back time. Moreover, I think Boss Mo Lin's strength is probably beyond your and my imagination. He stroked his long grey beard and looked in the direction of the warehouse. As the ceiling of humanity, he has seen more than Zeno. There is no need to delve too much into the existence of Mo Lin. In a blind box store, just follow the rules and no need to ask anything else. This is the wisdom of Netero. 2 minutes later, Mo Lin took out 40 high-end blind boxes and placed them on the counter. The blind boxes piled up on the small counter table were so high that they even touched the roof. Everyone! Let's get started. Blind boxes appeared, and the Zaldik family was not polite and opened all 40 high-end blind boxes in one go. Buzz! 40 blind boxes were opened one by one, and rays of light rose from them, white, purple, and gold, echoing each other. The wealthy temperament of the Zaldik family shines brilliantly under the golden light. Chapter 33. 6 billion genie, 60 high-end blind boxes, and 60 strange lights of various colors rising in the blind box store. The Zaldik family's most prosperous moment is revealed at this moment. After a moment, the light faded away. 60 premium blind boxes start with a total of 1 gold item and 3 purple items. This explosion rate can be said to be very normal. Together with the 1 gold and 1 purple that Zeno had previously obtained by spending 2 billion ringtones, this time the Zaldik family spent a total of 2 billion ringtones and obtained a good result of 2 golds and 4 purples. Golden Legend. Okay, okay. You can't snatch it from me this time. Zeno said, pointing at two golden objects floating in the air. Father, this golden item was opened by Ilmi. This is probably not appropriate. Silva was still trying to struggle. Bang! Zeno hit Silva on the head with a big bang. You are an unfilial son. Zeno said angrily. It takes 6 billion to get a golden legend. It can be said that the explosion rate is really terribly low. However, according to the rules on the whiteboard of the blind box store, the explosion rate of blind boxes is so low, but there is a tip behind this rule. The explosion rate is likely to be slightly higher when a newcomer opens a blind box for the first time. As expected, Ilmi made money the first time he opened 20 high-end blind boxes. If you miss this opportunity, you still don't know when you can withdraw money next time? Therefore, Zeno did not hesitate to compete with his son for this golden legend. Father, giving the golden legend to anyone will only enhance the strength of our Zaldik family. Besides, I am young and in good health. In terms of youth, Ilmi is younger. If you say so, the golden legend should be given to Ilmi. At this time, Ilmi, who was watching from the sidelines, was suddenly cued and said, "Give it to me? It's not impossible." "No, Zaya-san, you have no right to speak here." Zeno scolded sternly. Ahem, ahem. Mo Lin, who had been watching the show, coughed twice to attract the attention of several people and spoke. "Be quiet, everyone. Let me first explain the effects of these items." Mo Lin's intervention finally calmed the 3 generations of people down. In this blind box store, several people knew very well that Mo Lin's rules were the only rules. Gold items, piercing ring, from the Doraemon world, it can pass through walls and appear and disappear mysteriously. Purple items, wallpaper room, from the Doraemon world, who would buy a house if they have it? Any door, from the Doraemon world, the world is so big, I can travel freely, can be used dozens of times. Swimming powder, from the Doraemon world, it ignores the magic of terrain. But please be careful, once the time limit is over, you can only eat the banquet, 20 people, Is this a poke at Doraemon's nest? Why are all of them babies from the world of Doraemon? After a brief shock, Mo Lin began to explain the effects of several items to the 3 people from the Zaldik family. First is this golden item, called the penetration ring, which is a magical item from a blue fat man, a permanent item. As long as you put it on the wall, the whole person can easily pass through the wall like a ghost and come out of the wall. Not only can it go in a straight line, it can even bend according to the shape of the wall and come out on the other side of the wall or even on the ground. Mo Lin paused and continued. You may not think it's a big deal, but this item is conceptual. As long as it's in the shape of a wall, it can pass through it. No matter how thick or hard the material is, or whether it's a barrier similar to none, it can pass through it. Yes, that's why the penetrating ring can appear as a golden item. There are many heaven-defying props among the blue fat man's props, such as a telephone booth, a time machine, etc. However, the crossing ring is definitely an underestimated existence. In the hunter world, there are walls made of various strange materials and thicknesses, and there is also none that can create a barrier-like effect. It can be said that in this world, the crossing ring can definitely shine. Good stuff. I'll gladly accept it. Silva and Ilmi. After listening to Mo Lin's story, Zeno had a clear understanding of the time travel ring in his mind. It was indeed a prop of heaven-defying level. He knew very well that there were all kinds of ruins in this world, but how to go deeper into them without destroying the buildings became a big problem. The emergence of the crossing ring solves this problem. In an instant, Zeno thought of various uses for the time travel ring, and even thought of the Dark Continent. Maybe, after I get enough golden items from Boss Mo Lin, I can go to the Dark Continent and take a look. Zeno thought to himself. What about the remaining 3 purple items of Boss Mo Lin? Zeno asked, pointing at the other 3 items. Mo Lin first pointed to the wallpaper room. These 4 items are all props in the hands of the blue fat man from another world. This poster-like thing is called the wallpaper room. If you stick it on the wall, it will become a real room. Open the door and go in. There is an empty space inside. This pink door is called the Anywhere door. It can take you to any place in the world. Wherever you want to go, that's where you'll go. But it can only be used 10 times. The last thing is called swimming powder. This jar contains a powdery substance similar to prickly heat powder. Apply it on your body and everything around your body will become like water. At the same time, the water here makes it easier for people to float than in real water. Even landlubbers can swim. Just be careful. If you feel like you are drowning, please get ashore as soon as possible, otherwise you can only dig the soil to save people. This can of powder is enough for 20 people. Oh. After hearing about the effects of these 3 items, even Netero's eyes lit up. What magical props! These things and my own Momotaro dumplings are all from the same world. What kind of person could create such a fantastic item? After hearing about the anywhere door, Zeno's eyes gleamed with a sharp light and he spoke slowly. President Netero, this is the anywhere door you mentioned. It can take you to wherever you want in an instant. What a good baby! The $6 billion spent was worth it, and he could make his money back with just one portal. Even though he could only use it 10 times, it would produce miraculous effects as long as it was used properly. Zeno can't wait to try out these newly acquired treasures. Boss Mo Lin, we'll take our leave today. Silva, Ilmi, let's go. After saying that, he turned to Netero and invited him. President Netero, would you please come with me to see these magical items? Of course, I would love to. Netero, like an old naughty boy, can't wait to see the magic of these props. After saying goodbye to Mo Lin, I left the blind box store with the Zaldik family. The crowd dispersed, and only Mo Lin and Charmander were left in the store. Looking at the backs of the people walking away, he murmured. I wonder what the blind box store will look like next time we meet. Chapter 34. After leaving Mo Lin's blind box store, Zeno and his group arrived at the pre-arranged place to stay, a villa. In the living room of the villa, the items that had just been opened from the Mo Lin blind box store were now all placed on the table. Crossing ring, anywhere door, wallpaper house and swimming powder. Father, let me try first. Silva volunteered. As he spoke, he picked up the crossing ring from the table and placed it on the wall inside the room. The moment the crossing ring was attached to the wall, it became one with the wall. A circle as big as the crossing ring appeared on the wall. It was pitch black and nothing could be seen inside the circle. Silva took a look, said nothing, and plunged his head into the dark circle. A few seconds later, Silva entered the circle and disappeared. When the onlookers were puzzled, they heard Silva's voice coming from outside the house. I'm here. Looking out the window, Silva, who had just entered the circle, appeared by the pool outside the house and was waving towards the inside. Netero took one look and chuckled, everyone, let me try it too. As he spoke, he also entered the circle. Soon after, Zeno and Illumi followed their actions and entered the circle as well. After crawling in the dark passage for 2 seconds, a bright light came from deep in the tunnel. Netero took the lead and went out first. In front of him, the scene in the courtyard came into view, and Silva stood by the pool and looked in the direction of the exit. At this time, Netero and others realized that they had actually crossed a distance of dozens of meters and appeared next to the landscape wall next to the courtyard pool through several walls. It's incredible. It is truly a magical artifact that spans space, completely ignoring the terrain and crossing such a long distance so effortlessly. Zeno came out of the circle and looked at Silva and asked. Silva, can you tell me how it feels to use this crossing ring? Father, the effect of this crossing ring is almost the same as what Boss Mo Lin said, but in actual use, I can control where the exit is with my own thoughts. In the tunnel just now, I thought of several exits, the wall outside the living room, the wall where the bedroom is located, and the landscape wall, etc. The farthest exit is the landscape wall. The restriction is that the walls of the entrance and exit must be connected by a wall or other object in the middle. Only in this way can a hole be opened in the desired exit wall. After Silva finished speaking, Zeno looked at the ring on the wall, wondering what he was thinking. After a while, he spoke. President Netero, may I have a word with you? Suddenly cued by Zeno, Netero looked at Zeno in confusion, without saying anything, followed him into the house. Zeno, what do you want from me? Netero got straight to the point and asked directly. Zeno chuckled, bowed with both hands, and said respectfully, President Netero, I have an unwelcome request that I would like to discuss with you. Zeno's attitude reminded Netero of something, and his expression became serious. Explain. President Netero, you and the Zaldik family are old acquaintances. My father once followed you to the Dark Continent. If it were in the past, I believe that with the dangers of the Dark Continent and the restrictions imposed by various countries, going to the Dark Continent would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. But with the emergence of the blind box store of all worlds, more and more incredible items will surely appear. The existence of the Anywhere door alone will make it very easy for us to travel back and forth between the Dark Continent and the human kingdom. Not to mention, there will be more heaven-defying props in the future, so I want to apply for an opportunity for the Zaldik family, using the items from the blind boxes of the Zaldik family in the future as capital for the investment, in exchange for a place to go to the Dark Continent with you. Zeno said this to President Netero after careful consideration. However, I only came to the blind box store for the first time and got several props that are beyond human common sense. When I gain more in the future, there will inevitably be a problem. That is, once human beings become powerful, the desire to conquer the Dark Continent will become stronger. Driven by human greed, people have long coveted the treasures in the Dark Continent, even though there are all kinds of disasters and dangerous creatures there. This is an issue that the major powers will definitely consider. At that time, the strongest human being will be pushed to the forefront and become a leader, leading even more powerful humans to the Dark Continent. The Zaldik family has taken the lead, and Zeno must consider the Zaldik family and keep up with the times. Zeno's words made Netero fall silent. He was thinking about something he had already considered. It's just that the existence of blind box stores is still uncertain whether it is good or bad. If this thing is to be promoted, the problem he is worried about is that the leaders of major countries will have bad intentions towards blind box stores. However, Netero is not worried about Mo Lin. What he is worried about is what consequences these people will bring to human society if they anger Mo Lin. However, Zeno's words today reminded Netero that any force with a bit of strength would want to join this journey and get a piece of the pie. For those who want to join this journey in the future, the qualification for entry must be the treasures opened by the Wanja blind box store. Whoever has more treasures has more say. Netero never thought that he would live to be 120 years old and encounter something that could change the world. He was in the midst of a wave called the blind box era. If you don't make progress, you will be eliminated. Therefore, having one more ally means one more guarantee. Netero spoke slowly, yes. The word yes made Zeno's heart sink completely. With Netero's guarantee, the Zaldik family finally boarded the train heading for a new era. Ding ding! What's that noise? While the two were talking, a beeping sound continued to be heard. Netero and Zeno rummaged through their bodies and took out the purchase card of the Wanja blind box store. The purchase card was flashing red light, and after a few beeps, a few lines of small words appeared on the purchase card. Wanja blind box store announcement. In the next few days, the blind box store will carry out interior decoration upgrades. During this period, the blind box store will be closed and the function of purchasing cards to and from the blind box store will also be temporarily closed. We are very sorry for the bad experience brought to all customers. The upgraded blind box store will launch more advanced blind boxes and update many new functions, so stay tuned. In an instant, all customers holding purchasing cards received the message. Whale Island, Mito's house, Killua, the Wanja blind box store is closed for renovation. Let's go together when it opens. Okay. At Dory Port, Hisoka, who was boarding the ship with Renran, also received the message. Is the blind box store upgrading? I'm really looking forward to it. Chapter 35. Here, in the Wanja blind box store, Mo Lin closed the door of the blind box store and called up the system panel. Now that the revenue of 10 billion yuan has been achieved for Jin's blind box store, the blind box store can be upgraded. System, bring up my dashboard. Byte owner of Wanja blind box store, Mo Lin None personal skills, Nan's 4 basic skills, world stand, God's alibi, Emperor engine own blind box, no items, 3 fairy beans, a bamboo dragonfly, a small fire dragon, a rainbow fruit, a primary fairy body blind box. 6000. The current total revenue of the blind box store is 1001 million yuan. System, spend 10 billion genie to upgrade the blind box store. By 10 billion GNI, spent. The blind box store will be upgraded in 2 hours. Before that, please pack up and leave the blind box store. The estimated upgrade time is 1 week. The exact completion time is subject to the system prompt. System suggestion, this time the blind box store is upgraded to level 2, which will open up many new functions, but these functions all need to be upgraded by GNI. The system suggests that you prepare at least 10 billion GNI. Come on, young man. Use these few days to make a lot of money. This is a crazy upgrade. All functions after upgrading to level 2 require monks to unlock, and a lot of them. This blind box system is such a rip-off. Mo Lin thought secretly. Other people's systems start with the arrival of the tree world and the conquest of the world, but with yours, I have to be a salesperson and make money, and I'm still worried. Don't you know that the hunter world is very dangerous? After calming down, Mo Lin looked at the host panel and began to think about how to solve the problem of making a huge amount of money. It is impossible to work part-time. What kind of job can make a person earn at least 10 billion yen in a week? While thinking, Mo Lin shifted his gaze to the Charmander who was eating fruit, and the corners of his mouth rose. The little fire dragon who was eating fruit suddenly felt a chill on his spine and slowly turned his head to look at Mo Lin. A pair of wolf-like eyes turned green. "Wa law? Wa law? What do you want to do? Do you want to sell me out?" The little dragon said angrily with his claws on his waist. "What are you thinking? I mean, let's go sell the junk we got from the blind boxes during this period, maybe we can make a lot of money." That's right, Mo Lin thought of one thing. The items in the blind box are of no use to him, but for the unsophisticated people in the hunter world, it can be said to be very advanced. Especially the rainbow fruit, which is completely useless to him, but to those wealthy food hunters and gourmets, it is a top-notch delicacy that cannot be bought no matter how much money is spent. There are also senzu beans. As long as you have breath left, they can save you and bring you back to health as before. Having this thing is like having an extra life. A life. How much is it worth? Seeing that Mo Lin was not going to attack him, Charmander patted his chest and spoke. "Wow, wow. Be careful next time, you gave me a scare." The little dragon no longer paid attention to Mo Lin and turned around to continue eating the fruit in its claws. Mo Lin looked at his 6,000 blind box points and made up his mind to buy all high-end blind boxes. If there is anything that cannot improve your strength, sell it all. As long as the blind box store is upgraded, it will attract more customers. By that time, the blind box spot will be easily accessible. System: buy 60 high-level blind boxes. I want to go all in. Ding, spend 6,000 blind box points and buy 60 blind boxes. As soon as the voice fell, 60 high-end blind boxes appeared in front of Mo Lin, all floating in the air. Mo Lin thought, "Open it for me." All the high-end blind boxes were opened at the same time, and rays of light shot out from them. Looking at the rising white light, Mo Lin kept muttering, "Please give me the money. Please give me the money. Please." After a moment, the light faded away, and all the high-end blind boxes were opened. Mo Lin had a crazy smile on his face. He pointed at the roof and shouted, "Look! What is the child of destiny? What is a time traveler? 60 high-end blind boxes. 3 golds and 3 purples." With this explosion rate, even the dog card would have to kneel down and sing conquer. After a moment of ecstasy, Mo Lin checked the items he had obtained this time. Gold items: Imperial Weapon. Guaranteed hit bow. Brilliant Wing, from the world of Akame no Kill. Call out the target's name before shooting and the arrow will follow the target. 3 Color Domineering Mastery, from the world of Pirates, as long as you don't waste time, you can get good things in the new world. Time Burden, from the Doraemon world, when an object is covered with the front side, red, facing outward, the time of the covered object will be reversed, showing the past state. If it is covered with the back side, black, facing outward, the time of the covered object will be accelerated, showing the future state. When used on a person, the maximum time span is 50 years, and on an object, the time span is 500 years. Used 3 times. Purple items: Universal Capsule, from the Dragon Ball world, it contains 100 cubic meters of space. What brand of capsule is this? It can hold so much. 3 Senzu Beans, from the Dragon Ball world, dead stuff. Get a Senzu Bean, sweep away death, and be yourself again. Slippery Fruit, from the Pirate world, superhuman, eating it will make your skin smooth and radiant. This fruit has multiple effects such as plastic surgery, weight loss, and acne removal. No side effects, okay. The needle won't poke. Mo Lin's good luck brought out these things that can definitely shock the hunter world. 3 Color Domineering Mastery is of course for your own use. Mo Lin crushed the ball of light, and the shattered light particles began to flow into Mo Lin's body, and some kind of power began to surge out of his body. The observation haki was activated, and everything around him appeared in Mo Lin's perception. The armament haki was activated, and his entire body began to be covered with a layer of black substance. His entire body was black except for his face. The final domineering aura greatly enhanced Mo Lin's mental strength. 3 colors of domineering, a skill that every master in the world of pirates must master, is somewhat similar to the application of telekinesis. However, this is not a problem for Mo Lin. He discovered that the power of mind is more fundamental. It can amplify the abilities and items of these other worlds. Now Mo Lin uses the primary immortal body as his foundation. The thoughts it generates continuously supply the whole body. He mainly cultivates Nen, which is the original power of the hunter world. The 3 colors of Haki and Nen complement each other, and practicing any one of them can enhance the power of the other. The alternate world as a means of attack. Mo Lin is now very powerful. On the other hand, the remaining items are not very useful to Mo Lin. The system has its own space, and the items that Mo Lin opens from the blind box are placed in the system's space. And things like the Imperial Tool and the Universal Capsule will definitely sell for a good price. The 2 hours were up quickly. Mo Lin packed up simply, picked up Charmander and left the blind box store. Next stop, Yukixin City. Chapter 36. On the continent of Olivia, along the coastline of the continent, the westernmost city is Yukixin City. This is a paradise for the rich and criminals, but in Yukixin City, there is nothing you can't buy. The catalogue of collections at the underground auction house in Yukixin City could fill up a book, and the admission fee was as high as 12 million ninjas. Ordinary people could not even enter the door of the venue. Mo Lin's goal this time is to attend the annual Yukixin Fantasy Auction. In early September every year, the world's largest annual auction market. In just 10 days, tens of trillions of funds will flow through the public auction alone. What you bought for 10,000 yuan yesterday may be worth 100 million yuan in a few years. It is a dream market where you can spend a lot of money. Among the tens of thousands of auctions, there will be many that only auction crime-related items. On a street somewhere in Yukixin City, sheds of all sizes are lined up next to each other to form a long dragon, and in the square next to the street, long dragon-like sheds like this are arranged in an orderly manner. There is a straight line shape and there is a zigzag shape. Mo Lin stood at the edge of the open-air market, looking at the huge crowds of people, and marveled at the lively atmosphere of the Yukixin auction market. Look! There are so many people! Mo Lin gently patted the head of the little fire dragon in his arms twice and looked at the crowd with excitement. This was the first time he had seen so many people. If there were 3 or 5 people gathered around a blind box store, it would be considered a sea of people. Duan Duan. Mo Lin slapped Charmander's head, causing it to make a loud noise. Wa law, wa law. Tell my mother I'm not a coward. The little Charmander held by Mo Lin struggled to escape from Mo Lin's arms. However, the little creature had no strength to break free and could only shout in protest. All right, all right. Be quiet, there are a lot of people here, you can't run around, what if you get lost? If you get lost, the bad guys will catch you and stew you. Mo Lin threatened with a grin. Wow, Papa, Charmander said aggrievedly. Mo Lin kept moving forward along the main road, and his target this time was the largest underground auction house in Yukixin City. The underground auction is hosted by the Mafia, and the leaders who are in charge of the 10 districts in the 6 continents. 10 old men are their top leaders. This is also the reason why Mo Lin chose to ship here. Mo Lin currently only knows that this place has the ability to eat the props that can control time. The largest underground auction house in Yukixin City. Mo Lin stood at the entrance of the auction venue, looking at the male waiter in front of him with a wry smile on his face. So embarrassing. The owner of the prestigious Wanja blind box store was turned away because he couldn't afford the 12 million yuan entrance fee. Now Mo Lin is standing at the entrance of the venue in a dilemma. Sir, I'm sorry, according to the rules of the venue, you need to pay an entrance fee of 12 million ringgits, otherwise you will not be able to enter the venue. The waiter at the entrance of the venue raised his hand to block Mo Lin and explained politely. Every year, countless people hold up the items in their hands and want to enter this underground auction house to auction their so-called treasures. However, these people can't even afford the 12 million yen entrance fee, so how could they have any treasures on them? One of the duties of the waiters at the entrance of the venue is to stop these poor people who try to sneak into the auction hall. Mo Lin, one of the poor ones, thought quickly and came up with a plan. The world starts, time stops. Mo Lin said secretly. Buzz. The substitute world appeared from behind Mo Lin, and a strange purple light spread outward from the world. The originally noisy world became quiet in an instant. Unexpectedly, I was able to sneak into the venue by relying on time stop. The 9-second time stop is over. Time began to flow again, everything that was still around began to move again, and noisy sounds filled the entire venue. The waiter who had just raised his hand to stop Mo Lin looked at the empty space in front of him with a puzzled look on his face. Hey? Where are the people? Inside the venue appraisal room, Mo Lin sneaked into the venue and followed the waiter's instructions to find the auction appraiser at the venue. This is the largest underground auction house in Yokiksen City and has strict appraisal and auction levels. People like Mo Lin, who are auctioning for the first time and have no proof of assets, can only find junior appraisers to appraise their items. Mo Lin followed the waiter and was led into a spacious hall. At first glance, there were dozens of small tents standing in the hall, with a long line in front of each tent. Looking closely, everyone had something wrapped in black cloth in their hands. The waitress at the side pointed at the crowd and spoke. Sir, this is the primary appraisal room. Since you cannot provide proof of assets and this is your first appraisal auction, your items can only be appraised here. Of course, if your item is valuable, a mid-level or even senior appraiser will contact you immediately. You can find an appraisal room at will and wait in line. The waitress's words made Mo Lin understand the rules of the auction venue. He glanced at all the appraisal rooms and found an appraisal room in the corner of the hall with no one in line. Excuse me, why is there no one in the appraisal room in the far corner? The waitress looked in the direction of Mo Lin's finger, and saw a big word hanging in front of the door of the tent. After seeing this word, a wry smile appeared on her face. Sir, that appraiser is called Sai Li. He is a very strong appraiser among the appraisers at the auction venue. He was a senior appraiser before. Senior appraiser? Mo Lin exclaimed. On the way here, Mo Lin also learned about the auction venue's hierarchy for appraisers. Senior appraisers must first obtain a senior appraiser certificate, and the value of this certificate can be said to be comparable to a hunter license. Every senior appraiser can be said to be well versed in the world of literature and knowledgeable, and can be said to be a leading figure in a certain field of object appraisal. Why is he here? Mo Lin asked curiously. Sir, the appraiser Seri has a strange temper. If he sees something is fake, he will smash it. Many customers' collections have been smashed by this appraiser Seri before. His behavior caused dissatisfaction among many auctioneers who came for appraisal, and they jointly complained against him, so he was demoted to the primary appraisal venue. Sir, I will take you here. I have something else to do, so I will leave first. If you have any other questions, there are other waiters in the venue who will serve you. I'm leaving now. Mo Lin nodded and looked towards the appraisal room where no one was queuing. Go there. Chapter 37. Wow! Outside the appraiser's tent in the corner of the primary appraisal venue, a slender white hand lifted the curtain. The person who came was Mo Lin. Based on the principle of absolute confidence in the auction items, he went directly to find the senior appraiser who the waitress said would smash things if he was not satisfied, Seri. Inside the tent, next to a shabby wooden table in the middle, an old man with disheveled white hair was staring at the book in his hands and reading seriously, completely unaware that someone had come in. Hello, I'm here for an appraisal. Before the old man could react, Mo Lin took out the universal capsule he had prepared in advance from his pocket and threw it onto the table in front of the old man. Bang! The moment the universal capsule touched the table, several props appeared on the table. Seri, who was still immersed in the plot of the book, was confused by the sudden change. But the scene before him was enough to make the picky him take it seriously. Interesting. Seri laughed. He picked up the glasses on the table with his right hand and put them on. His originally gentle eyes suddenly became serious. Hello, sir. Senior appraiser Seri, at your service. 10 minutes later, after Mo Lin had finished introducing the effects of several items to Seri, who is already over 70 years old, was as excited as a 200-pound child, and kept muttering, what an incredible prop. A universal capsule for storing items. A time capsule that reverses time. As he spoke, Seri's tone was a little agitated, and he was a little breathless with each sentence. Mr. Mo Lin, these will be the top items this year. Each of your items must be rated at least grade A. At the auction venue, the auction items are simply divided into 4 grades, A, B, C, and D. In this primary appraisal venue, only a few grade C items are produced in a year. The primary appraisal field no longer has the conditions to appraise this item. Please wait for me for 2 minutes. Sari walked to a corner of the tent and made a phone call. Hey! Freeman, I have identified at least 5 grade A items here. Sari's voice trembled a little. Since he came to the primary appraisal site for some business, he had not appraised a decent auction item in almost a whole year. This time, these items will surely set off the entire auction venue. Sari, there are grade A items in the primary appraisal venue. Are you still asleep? Tell me, what is the value of this grade A item you identified? Freeman said casually. As the person in charge of the auction venue, he is very busy every day. If it weren't for Sari's identity as a senior appraiser, he would not have answered Sari's call. If this old stubborn person had listened to him and changed his bad temper, he would never have gone to the primary identification site. Besides, he didn't believe that a primary appraisal venue could produce grade A items. The items that can be rated as grade A are either those with a long history, or those with unique effects, or those found in ruins. However, Sari's next words made him stunned. Freeman, isn't the item that can reverse time considered a grade A item? Buzz. Freeman's head seemed to explode. It was probably true that Sari, the old scholar, would not joke about his quality as a senior appraiser. Sari, if this is true, then I will personally invite you back to the advanced appraisal venue. 10 minutes later, in the advanced appraisal venue, inside the comprehensive appraisal room. This is an empty warehouse at the auction venue. Since there are often props with lethal functions to be identified, the pool, archery targets, sand. Everything you need. Mo Lin sat on the leather sofa at the door of the warehouse, drinking the hot tea that had just been served and watching the lively scene in front of him. 3 old men about the same age as Sari, wearing glasses and white gloves, carefully placed the props brought by Mo Lin in their hands and examined them carefully. Freeman stood aside and looked at Mo Lin and asked. Mr. Mo Lin, these are the 3 senior appraisers from our appraisal field. They will work with appraiser Sari to appraise your items. Because, according to the preliminary judgment of appraiser Sari, several of your lots are at least grade A lots, so we need to conduct a comprehensive appraisal of several items. Please understand. After receiving Sari's call, Freeman quickly invited Mo Lin and several props to the high-level appraisal site. Then it was time for Mo Lin's performance. This little thing is called the Universal Capsule. As the name suggests, it is very versatile. It has a storage space of 100 cubic meters inside, but it cannot store living things. As he spoke, Mo Lin threw the Universal Capsule into a reservoir in front of him. Plop! The capsule fell into the water, and the originally bottomless water reservoir was instantly emptied of more than half its volume. Unbelievable! Unbelievable! If you didn't see it with your own eyes, who would believe that this tiny capsule could store 100 cubic meters? Freeman. Universal Capsule, at least a Class A item. One of the bald old appraisers was so emotional that his voice trembled. He is a senior appraiser specializing in the field of prop identification, and his main focus is on identifying magical props in ruins. However, there are very few opportunities to identify a prop with such incredible functions. Next, this bow belongs to the Imperial weapon. It is called the bow that guarantees a hit, Hui. Call out the name of the target before shooting, and the arrow will always chase the target. Hui is a bow that is half the length of a body, and it exudes a metallic color all over. Mo Lin pointed at Hui and said, I don't know how to play with a bow and arrow, you can try. Let me do it. Freeman, who had been watching from the sidelines, volunteered. He picked up the Hui and looked at Sari, smiling, Sari, I'll draw the bow, and you defend. You are just taking revenge on someone else, right? When you smile I feel like you are holding back your fart. This is also for identification. Who says you are the strongest? Freeman didn't waste any time. He picked up an arrow that he had prepared in advance, swung his arm, pulled the bow, and shot the arrow outside the warehouse, muttering Sari's name. Call out after the arrow flew forward 5 or 6 meters, it suddenly turned around, drew a perfect arc in the air, and flew towards Sari behind it. Seeing this, Sari mobilized his mental power, jumped into the air and dodged the arrows. However, no matter where he ran, the arrows would always be able to smell his location and give chase. In the end, it was Sari who broke the arrow with one punch and escaped from his pursuit. Pa, pa, pa. Freeman, who was watching the show, applauded repeatedly. Hui's performance was exactly as he said. He would not stop until he caught the enemy. Unless you have the power to destroy it, the arrows it shoots will chase you to the ends of the earth. Amazing, so amazing. I have been appraising bows all my life, but I have never seen such an amazing bow. How old are you? Only 52. When I was an expert, you were still wearing crotchless pants. Mr. Mo Lin, the value of this brilliant wing is definitely above Class A. Chapter 38. Grade A? Too low. Mo Lin just wants to say that you really haven't seen the world. When my blind box store is upgraded, these things will be small karami. However, Mo Lin's main task this time is to earn the money for the Buddhist nun's vows. Who told him that this is the only skill he has? Mo Lin then introduced the other objects on the table. This thing is called senzu beans. It has a very strong effect. As long as you are still alive, it can revive you and restore you to your healthiest state. It has another magical effect, regeneration of severed limbs. As long as your people are alive, even if only a head is left, it can be restored to its original state. Buzz. After hearing about the effects of senzu beans, several people's heads seemed to explode. What do you mean as long as there is a head left, even as long as there is a breath left, it can be restored to its original state? Miracle medicine. No. Miracle medicine is not enough to describe this little green bean. It is a magic pill. Mr. Mo Lin, the value of your senzu beans is too high. We cannot give you an evaluation. If the effect is real, its value will be auctioned at a sky-high price. Freeman's voice trembled. The value of senzu beans is immeasurable, it's like having an extra life. In this world, some people's lives are so valuable. If one of these things is wasted for appraisal, the auction house won't be able to afford its price. Mo Lin frowned when he heard Freeman's words. This was indeed a difficult matter. One less bean would mean a lot of money lost. Mr. Mo Lin, do you think this will work? The first pill can be auctioned on the spot and taken on the spot so that other people can see its efficacy. The price may not be high, but if you do this, the next 2 pills are likely to be sold at sky-high prices, said Sari. Okay. Mo Lin doesn't want to get involved in these things. These props are only a part of the props he owns. In the future, with the upgrade of the blind box store, he will also have more amazing props. At the auction, taking the money and leaving is what you should do. Then, Mo Lin continued to introduce the next items to the group. After eating the slippery fruit, your skin will become as smooth as a newborn baby's. It has the effect of making you more beautiful, and it also has the effects of plastic surgery, weight loss, and acne removal. Not only that, smooth skin can also rebound attacks. Appraisers comment, this item is enough to drive women all over the world crazy. The bamboo dragonfly can be worn on the head and can fly at a speed of 80 km per hour, but the flight time is only 4 to 8 hours. It charges while stationary and is a prop that ignores terrain. Appraiser's evaluation, a magical little prop, barely a grade A item. Next comes the last and most anticipated item on the table. Time baggage, when covering an object with the front side, red, facing outward, the time of the covered object will be reversed and appear in the past. If the reverse side, black, is covered outward, the time of the covered object will be accelerated, presenting a future state. When used on a person, the maximum time span is 50 years. When used on an object, the time span is 500 years. It can be used 3 times crazy. After hearing the complete information from Time Burden, several appraisers became obviously insane. Is this really a prop that should exist in this world? Reverse time and return to youth. Go back to the past and look forward to the future. Several elderly senior appraisers revealed greedy desires in their eyes when they looked at the Time Burden. However, this prop is not something that only a few people can use. After today, when the news about the Time Burden is released, people all over the world will probably go crazy about it. Just ask, who can refuse to return to youth? Mr. Mo Lin, after the senzu beans prove the effectiveness of this item, I'm afraid everyone will believe in its effectiveness. The price of your item is unimaginable. Even without a starting price, its price will soar to an unimaginable level. In Freeman's 30 years of career, he had never encountered a prop related to time. He had even encountered a storage prop before, but the storage space of that item was only 3 cubic meters. Very good. Very open. Then, Mr. Mo Lin, how about the auction of your items in 3 days? The auction house will promote your items and try to maximize the profits. Wait, I have another item, but it's bigger and sweeter. Mo Lin suddenly remembered that he still had a rainbow fruit. I have kept it in my system space and almost forgot about it. When the other people heard the word sweet, a big question mark appeared in their minds. Pa! Mo Lin waved his hand, and the fruit in the system space fell heavily on the floor of the warehouse, shaking the floor. A rainbow fruit that was 2 people tall sat on the floor, sparkling with colorful light, making the entire warehouse sparkle. In an instant, the air began to be filled with an alluring fragrance, as sweet as first love, making people intoxicated. These are ingredients. Freeman exclaimed. A look of disbelief. How could there be such dazzling ingredients? It exudes an alluring aroma that makes you want to stop after just one sniff. What on earth is this? Mo Lin walked up to the rainbow fruit and patted its large, plump body. It's called the rainbow fruit. It's a dream fruit that changes its flavor to 7 colors depending on the temperature and humidity. The sweet scent it emits can arouse the desire of living things to eat it. As he spoke, Mo Lin ran his fingertips across the surface of the rainbow fruit, and a drop of colorful juice oozed out of a tiny cut. Mo Lin took out the juice and dropped it into the pool. When the colorful juice touches the pool water, the originally clear pool water instantly changes into colorful colors. The shimmering water surface created a burst of colorful light, which was reflected on the ceiling of the warehouse, looking extremely beautiful. Try it. Mo Lin said, pointing at the colorful pool water. Freeman and several appraisers walked over to the pool of water, dipped a drop with their fingertips, and placed it on their tongues. Wow! The rich and mellow fruity aroma exploded on the tips of several people's tongues, and then filled the entire cavity. They closed their eyes and savored the fragrance carefully. It's so delicious. Just a small drop can turn the whole pool of water into delicious juice. This is truly a dream ingredient. If those food hunters knew about its existence, they would go crazy. In this world, there is a profession called food hunter. They are a branch of the hunter profession. They search for delicious ingredients all over the world, set foot in unknown areas, and discover dream ingredients. Today, Freeman and several senior appraisers tasted the legendary dream ingredients that even the gourmet hunters have not discovered. It can really be said that I am so lucky. Mr. Mo Lin, our auction house will definitely give you the highest price for these items. You choose to trust us, and we will serve you diligently. During these 3 days, please take a rest in our auction house. Chapter 39. The next day. On September 1st, a blanket of flyers swept across the entire Yokiksen city. In the air, on the ground, among the crowd, as long as you walk on the streets of Yokiksen city, you can see a flyer issued by an underground auction house. The slogan was printed with a few big words: Special Auction of Grade A Items. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The top 3 items on this list are, Senzu beans that can regenerate severed limbs. The time burden of returning to youth. The most incredible fantasy ingredient in the world, rainbow fruit. Other auction items simply had the image of the item printed on a flyer. Walking down the street, no matter where you are, you can hear discussions about this Grade A auction. What's going on? A special auction for Class A items? I've been working in Yokiksen City for 10 years and this is the first time I've heard of it. 10 years? I've lived in Yokiksen City all my life, and this is the first time I've seen so many Grade A items being auctioned together. Hey! Shouldn't you be focusing on the effects of these items? Regeneration of severed limbs. Return to youth. Are you kidding me? Everyone felt that the underground auction house had gone crazy, as they dared to put such fake items up for auction. The function of this item has broken people's cognition, so everyone's first thought is, it must be fake. On a street somewhere in the urban area of Yokiksen, 2 small figures, one green and one purple, were walking aimlessly in the market. The purple figure seemed to have a yellow rat hanging on his shoulder. The 2 were Gon and Killua, who rushed from Whale Island to Yokiksen City to bid for the Greed Island game. The yellow mouse is Pikachu, who is unwilling to enter the Pokeball. Killua, look at this little capsule at the bottom of the flyer. Does it look like my universal capsule? As soon as he entered the street, a leaflet flying in the air flew towards Gon's face, and the picture at the bottom of the leaflet attracted Gon's attention. Pa! Killua also intercepted a flyer from the air. Hey! It really is. Is someone auctioning off the items in the blind box? Do you think it might be owner Mo Lin himself who is auctioning? The purchase card shows that the blind box store is under renovation recently, so he shouldn't be in the store. Gon said. I really want to go to this auction to take a look. This item that can reverse time and return to youth, what kind of sky-high price do you think it will fetch? Killua imagined as he stared at the time burden in the middle of the flyer. Hey, hey, hey! Killua, I can control time too, okay. Upon hearing about reversing time, Star Platinum flew out of Gon's body and said with his hands on his hips. Come on! Others can return to their youth, but you can only pause time. It's totally different. Killua said unhappily. You are so short-sighted. You're just jealous that their props are better than yours. You are not worthy of being consulted. You're still talking about literature. What a pity, you're using it in the wrong way. Illiterate. Seeing his trainer being bullied, Pikachu on his shoulder looked at Star Platinum viciously, with its lightning-shaped tail standing up and electricity crackling on the surface of its body. Pikachu, shut up you weirdo, you yellow-skinned rat, you're getting excited with me. Star Platinum raised his fist in a punching gesture to scare Pikachu. Pikachu. Come on. Okay, stop arguing. Seeing the two arguing, Gon smiled helplessly. On the way to Whale Island, the substitute and the mouse had been arguing. As Gon was trying to calm the two, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind him. Gon, Killua. Long time no see. Swish. Leorio. They both turned to look at Leorio. Hey! Are you also interested in this auction? Leorio asked curiously when he saw Gon and Killua both holding flyers. Are you talking about this? Yes. But I also have one of the items on the flyer. Gon said, pointing at the image of the universal capsule. What? Leorio was confused. 10 minutes later, in a private room of a tea house, after Leorio learned about the blind box store from Gon and Killua, he became confused. Pools. You mean, you also got magical props like the ones at the auction house? Leorio said excitedly, pointing at the items on the flyer. That's not all. Leorio. I also gained a powerful partner like Star Platinum. Star Platinum revealed itself, a massive purple giant floating in the air. After a period of study, Gon can actively let others see the image of Star Platinum. Looking at Star Platinum's muscles exploding in the air, Leorio was so excited that he couldn't speak. Leorio, I got the same devil fruit as the one on the flyer, but mine is the natural thunder fruit. After I eat it, I can transform into lightning. Sizzle. In an instant, Killua's arm turned into lightning particles, the color of daylight, crackling. Leorio could feel the breath of death just by looking at Killua's arm transformed into lightning. Horrible. It's so horrible. What about this yellow mouse? He pointed at the Pikachu on Killua's shoulder and asked carefully. Hearing the yellow-skinned mouse, Pikachu got angry. He bared his teeth and was about to release 100,000 volts to teach the uncle in front of him a lesson. Pikachu, 100,000 volts. Boom. Be quiet. Killua used his right hand that turned into lightning to give Pikachu a big slap. Pikachu, feeling pain, stretched out his little yellow hands to hold the big bump on his head, and said with a wronged and crying voice. Pikachu, you are all bad guys, ... I've only been separated from you two for a while, and I didn't expect you to have such an adventure. I really envy your good luck. Leorio exclaimed. However, I'm afraid that your plan to attend this auction is impossible. Because the minimum entry requirement is to verify a capital of 10 billion. 10 billion ringtones. Yes, but you can auction off the magical items in your hands, but not now. Aren't you going to auction off the Greed Island game? Wait a few days before auctioning it. Leorio knew the purpose of Gon's trip. Before that, he was still worried about whether the two could film Greed Island. But now there is no need to worry at all. Okay, then I'll take you two around Yokiksen City first. At the same time, in a house somewhere in Yokiksen City, the Phantom Troupe who just gathered here received a promotional poster for the underground auction. Captain, let's change our target this time. Look at the props on this flyer, they are amazing, too amazing. Shulnark said excitedly while holding up the flyer. The other members also stared at Krollo with expectant eyes. The Phantom Troupe gather here for the treasure in the vault. But now there is something more valuable. Krollo sat on the ground, looking at the props on the flyer, silent. He thought of someone, Hisoka. Could Hisoka's abilities come from the same place as the items on the list? Krollo thought to himself. After a while, there's a change of plan. Tomorrow I'll lead a team to steal the items on the flyers. Chapter 40. In Yokiksen City, inside a luxury house. An old man in elegant clothes sat on the sofa, staring at the crumpled underground auction house flyer in his hand. There's help! There's help! The corners of his mouth trembled slightly and he choked with excitement. There are 2 lines of tear marks on the old face. This person is the wealthy man, Batra. He originally wanted to bid for the Greed Island game, but he actually encountered a special auction for Class A items. It stands to reason that a wealthy man like him would have a large collection of Grade A items at home. However, this time, the effects of the senzu beans and time baggage on the promotional list can be said to have a fatal attraction to him. His lover fell into a coma due to a traffic accident. In order to save her, he spent a lot of money to collect games of Greedy Island and cultivated a large number of players. I just hope to bring out the treasures in the game, Archangel's Breath and Witch's Rejuvenation Potion, to save my lover. God bless you. The auction hasn't even started yet, but we've come across such a treasure being auctioned. Looking at the items on the list, Batra's eyes were solemn, and his deep eyes were filled with the belief that he would win the treasure. Then, he made a phone call. Hey! Stop the work on Greed Island and gather all the liquid funds together. I need them in 3 days. Also, secretly transport my lover to Yokiksen City. After arranging everything, Bharat sat back on the sofa and stared at the ceiling in a daze. His heart couldn't stop pounding. The items in this auction are enough to drive the whole world crazy. Although he is rich, he can't guarantee that other forces may also want these treasures. Bharat didn't dare to think about the time burden. I just hope I can get a senzu bean. Please. Bharat muttered. As soon as the news of the auction's A-level special session came out, all major forces got the news. President Netero, who was visiting Kukuru Mountain, also received the news. In the Zaldik family's living room, Netero answered a phone call. Okay. I understand. Thank you. After hanging up the phone, Zeno on the other side of Netero asked curiously. What's wrong? President Netero, is there something wrong? Zeno. Many incredible items appeared at the auction in Yokiksen City, including items that can regenerate severed limbs and restore youth. One of them is a universal capsule. Universal capsule. The two are very familiar with this thing. It is a relatively practical prop opened from Mo Lin's blind box shop. I didn't expect him to appear at the auction. President Netero, let's go take a look together. It will be faster to use the anywhere door. Good. Look at me. Anywhere door. In an instant, tens of thousands of miles are crossed. That night, when everyone was immersed in the carnival of this great special auction, Phantom Troupe sent 6 people to sneak into the auction venue under the cover of night. Shizuku, Franklin, and Phaeton worked as a team to knock down the security guards outside the auction venue to attract attention. The other team, led by Krollo, Nobunaga, and Yuvajin, went straight to the vault where the items were stored. Outside the vault, countless security personnel stood at the entrance of the vault to form a human wall to prevent the enemy's attack. In order to protect these priceless items, the 10 old men sent out their own yin beast troops to specifically protect Mo Lin's props. The 4 yin beasts, Earthworm, Sick Dog, Porcupine, and Leech, stood in 4 directions and looked at Krollo and the other 2 in front of them. As expected, someone came to steal these treasures on the first night. But unfortunately, this time it's us yin beasts who are here to protect. Kill him. Yin Beast the Sick Dog didn't waste any time and directly called the crowd to beat up the opponent. Earthworm burrows directly into the ground, sneaks up to Krollo, and wraps around Yuvajin who is standing next to him. The porcupine on the side was not to be outdone, and as it rushed towards Nobunaga, its hair stood up all over its body. Porcupines can manipulate their hair to turn it into very strong needles. The teeth of Sick Dog have such bite force and hardness that they can even break steel. There are also neurotoxins in his teeth that can paralyze the opponent's entire body while biting him. The ability of Leech is even more terrifying. He climbed onto Yuvajin's back and stretched out his mouth parts. Countless leeches crawled out of his mouth parts and drilled into Yuvajin's flesh along the wound. His ability is to raise countless leeches in his body, of various types, some of which can cure diseases, while others can make people sick. Leeches crawl into the body through wounds and lay eggs in the kidneys. The most exciting thing is that newborn leeches will be excreted in urine. The ability of Yin Beast can be said to be very terrifying. However, their opponent is Krollo, the leader of the Phantom Troupe. Do it! Nobunaga, Yuvajin. Call out IAI/. Nobunaga mobilized the telekinesis in his body, concentrated it on the blade, and with one move of IAI/, he swept through the enemy. The sword energy swept through the air, and countless blood flowers sprayed into the air like fountains. The entire entrance of the vault looked like it was covered with a red cassock. Super Destruction Fist, Boom Yuvajin, the enhancer, focused his telekinesis on his right fist, and like a cannonball fired from a gun, he smashed the door of the vault into pieces with one punch. Waves of air swept over everyone present. Boom boom boom. One after another, ordinary security guards fell to the ground. In an instant, the Yin Beast and all the security forces were wiped out. This is the power of Phantom Troupe. At the same time, Shizuku and the other two who were handling the outer security also met up with Krollo and the others. This farce caused a sensation in the entire venue. But none of the powerful nin who came here joined in the fun. After all, after Phantom stole these props, it became easy, just snatch them away. Who still spends money? And there was one person who was very angry at this time. Mo Lin stepped into the air and rushed from his residence to the vault door within 5 minutes. At this moment, he was standing in front of the 6 members of the Phantom Troupe, watching all this angrily. I was woken up from my sleep and was in a bad mood. He told me that my things were about to be stolen. The blind box store is still waiting for this money to open. Mo Lin is very angry now. The consequences are serious. With a grudge, Mo Lin said coldly, "You guys are here to steal my things." From Mo Lin's tone, Krollo knew that this was the seller of these items, which made things easier. Catch him and find out where these items came from. Wow! Yuvajin took the lead and ran towards Mo Lin, wanting to take him down. At this moment, Mo Lin couldn't bear it anymore. You know what? I'm very irritable when I wake up. Buzz! Powerful domineering aura was released from Mo Lin's body, radiating throughout the auction venue with him as the center. The tangible golden domineering aura shocked the nerves of the people in front. Boom! Yuvajin, who was closest to Mo Lin, fell first. Next up is Shizuku, Franklin. In the end, only Phaeton and Krollo were able to hold on and look at Mo Lin. Oops! Kicking the titanium alloy plate. You like stealing things, don't you? Mo Lin clenched his fists, his knuckles cracking. Once you get up, you need to move around. Sorry, everyone. Chapters 36 to 40 have been rewritten. The new chapters may be released a little slower today. Chapter 41. The world. Time stops. Mo Lin directly activated the world stand, and a golden time stand appeared behind Mo Lin. The moment the stand appeared, Krollo and Phaeton, who were in the telekinetic state, also saw this sturdy humanoid stand. What is that? Krollo exclaimed. Before he could think of the next sentence, the world stopped. The 9-second time stop became Mo Lin's home court. The powerful Krollo had very sharp 5 senses and felt the crisis 1 second before. He activated his Nin broken tail gecko. The ink-like substance protected his entire body and freed his consciousness from the control of time stop. It was not until this time that he realized what a terrible person he had offended. A man who can stop time. Boom boom boom. Mo Lin commanded the world, and fists rained down on the 6 Phantom Troupe members present. Be gentle, don't kill them all. Come back after time is paused. Mo Lin yawned, turned around and walked into the vault to put several props back into his system space. It's safest to keep it on yourself. God's alibi activate. Mo Lin's figure and breath disappeared from Krollo's sight and walked towards his bedroom. While waving his fists, the world kept shouting motivational slogans. As a close-range power stand, the world could swing so many fists in 1 second that it was impossible to count. Franklin, Yuvajin, Shizuku. He kept flying in the air, punching several people with one punch after another until they could no longer be seen as human forms. Bruises accumulated, teeth flew, and blood flowed. This is what happens when you want to anger the blind box store owner, Mo Lin. If I don't give it to you, you can't ask for it. Do you understand? Click. 9 seconds to go. The world stopped, and the 6 people flying in the air fell heavily to the ground. There was a loud bang, and a large amount of blood splattered on the ground. Krollo, the only one still conscious lying on the ground, untied the broken-tailed gecko after seeing the world disappear, and quickly carried the 5 people away from here. On the way to escape, Krollo, who usually kept a calm face, felt a wave of fear in his heart. It was almost there, just a little bit. If not, with his keen 5 senses, he would have sensed the danger in advance and activated Broken Tail Gecko to protect himself. I'm afraid we'll all have to give up here today. Too careless. He was so dazzled by the power of the item that he did not investigate the seller's ability and identity beforehand. Completely underestimated the other party. It's so scary, who on earth is he? Here, in the auction venue, Mo Lin used his domineering style to knock down almost everyone in the venue. Bang, 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 the sound is continuous, and the one who falls to the ground with a crisp sound is a good start. Inside the venue, the powerful Nin was watching all this. On the corridor on the 3rd floor, Netero and Susanoo looked at everything in front of them. President Netero, it seems that the person auctioning the items might actually be Manager Mo Lin. Susanoo said. Manager Mo Lin still didn't kill me, but I think his attack shows that he has a bad temper. Judging from the performance of the previous attack, the attacker must be at least as powerful as Netero. The random release of the mind caused almost everyone in the venue to lose consciousness. It was terrifying. Considering the items being auctioned, he really couldn't think of anyone else who could fit the bill except store manager Mo Lin. With manager Mo Lin here, I'm afraid no one can play tricks at this auction. Not only Netero, in a luxuriously decorated high-end room in the auction house, the 4th prince from the Kaken Empire, Chelidanish, sat on the sofa and looked at the servant who fell in his room with an indifferent expression. Your Highness, the 4th prince, the owner of that attack just now should be the provider of this auction item. His strength is truly terrifying. A stern-faced middle-aged man next to the 4th prince, Chelidanish, reported to him what had happened during his recent investigation. This is Hill, a highly skilled warrior sent by the Kajin Empire to protect the 4th prince. This time, it was because the 4th prince was traveling around Yokiksen city that he encountered the incident at the auction. It can be said that I was really lucky. Otherwise, considering the distance between the Empire and Yokiksen city, it would be impossible to get there in 3 days. Siri, how is the money raising going? What does father say? Your Highness, time is of the essence and we only have 70 billion in cash. However, we still have 2 days to raise more than 100 billion. Hearing Siri's words, the 4th prince, Chelidanish, felt a heavy weight fall from his heart. This is an opportunity, and only among all the princes can he get first-hand contact with these magical props. The battle for the throne among the 14 princes is about to begin, and I need to prepare more bargaining chips for myself. Siri, please. On the other side, many powerful Nin players in the venue were also watching all this in the dark. The vice president of the Hunter Association Paristan. A man in a little elf who just arrived here from Dori Gang, Hisoka and Renren Wing. The guard of the gangster Nisra family, Kurapika. The Nin collected by the tycoon Bharat Jwai's Jwala. Mo Lin's move completely stunned the bidders who had other ideas. Raising money honestly is the best choice. After Mo Lin left the vault, Freeman, the person in charge of the leather store, went straight to Mo Lin's residence. From the surveillance video, Freeman saw that Mo Lin defeated all the people who came to steal items in an instant. These people killed the Yin Beast troops almost instantly. And Mo Lin defeated his opponent in an instant. So strong. It's so powerful. Freeman did not dare to delay and immediately reported the situation at the auction to the 10 old men. After learning about Mo Lin's strength, the auction house showed even more respect for Mo Lin. From today on, Mr. Mo Lin is the most distinguished guest of the auction house. Ding dong. Freeman came to Mo Lin's residence and rang the doorbell carefully, fearing that his visit in the middle of the night would disturb Mo Lin enter. Only when a voice of tacit consent came from the room did Freeman push open the door in dismay. Mr. Mo Lin, I'm so sorry about what happened tonight. I had to ask you to help me fight off the thieves who came to steal. I'm so sorry. But you look so handsome, defeating those people with just one blow. In order to make up for your losses, after discussing with the top management, we will not charge any commission for all the items auctioned this time. I hope you can forgive us. Freeman received instructions from the 10 old men to calm Mo Lin's anger by not charging any commission. He was also afraid that Mo Lin would get angry and take the items back to another auction house. If this happens, the consequences will be too serious. However, Mo Lin didn't care about this at all. He was just in a bad mood after waking up. But even without the commission, I still made a lot of money. You are so sensible. It's okay, leave the things here with me and I'll give them to you before the auction. By the way, remember to close the door when you leave. I'm going to sleep. I'm sorry, I rewrote chapters 36 to 40. Chapter 42. Time passed quietly and 3 days went by quickly. The special auction of Grade A items has officially begun. Inside the auction hall, the host Roy held up the microphone and introduced the rules of the auction to the bidders. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's special auction of Grade A items. As everyone knows, this is the first time that this auction house has gathered so many Grade A items in the same auction. I believe everyone has been waiting for a long time, so let me reiterate the rules of the auction again. There is no reserve price for this auction. The minimum bid is 100 million Genie each time, and there is no upper limit. The highest bidder wins. This auction has a total of 200 seats and 10 boxes, numbered from 1 to 10. The bidders for each seat are worth at least 10 billion Genies, and the bidders in the box are worth at least 100 billion Genies. Even though many people know that they cannot bid for the Class A items this time, they still want to come and see this auction. In box number 3, President Netero and Susanoo sat on the leather sofa in the box, looking at the situation in the venue on the big screen in the box. Susanoo, many people came prepared this time. Netero looked at Susanoo and spoke softly. This auction is of such high standard that it is rarely seen in the world. Coupled with the incredible props and the move from the previous 2 days, everyone participated in the auction obediently. Susanoo, who was standing by, picked up a cup of tea from the table in front of him, took a sip, and let out a long sigh. President Netero, this auction is urgent, and people are skeptical about the items, so only a few people came. Otherwise, the Zaldik family wouldn't be able to enter this box with their wealth. Susanoo was very lucky that he had the magical prop of the Anywhere door, otherwise he would not be able to reach Yokiksen City within 3 days. If you miss out on incredible items like senzu beans and time baggage, you don't know how long you'll have to wait until you see them again. Even if there is a blind box store owned by Mo Lin, it is probably difficult to get props like time reversal. While the two were talking, the door of the box was slowly pushed open. The sound of squeak attracted the attention of the 2 people in the room. Silva is back. Father, this is all the money the family can gather in 3 days. The tall Silva was holding a small black leather suitcase in his hands. He walked in front of Susanoo and placed the small black leather suitcase on the coffee table in front of him. Ka. The suitcase opened and Silva took out a yellow manila folder and several sheets of paper with the word bank printed on them. Father, the total is 140 billion ringgits. Due to time constraints, many of the jewelry left over from the family were sold at prices below the market price. Silva was not idle during these 3 days. During the 3 days that Susanoo and Netero were waiting, he contacted the housekeeper at home and cashed out all the assets that could be quickly converted into cash. 3 days is still too tight. You did a great job, Silva. Susanoo nodded. It is not easy to collect so much cash in 3 days. He is very satisfied with Silva's performance. On the auction table, ladies and gentlemen, our first lot is about to go up for bidding. As the radio sounded, the big screen in the box began to turn the picture to the stage where the host was. Netero and the other 2 also shifted their gaze to the big screen. At the display stand at the auction venue, a waitress walked up to the host Roy holding a black box. Roy held up the black box and said, "Dear buyers who came to bid, at the request of the seller, the order of appearance of the items in this auction will be determined by lottery." This is also a funny idea of Mo Lin. In the past, the order of bidding on items at auctions was that the more valuable the item, the closer it would be to the end of the bidding. But today, the first item to be auctioned is likely to be a time burden. As he spoke, Roy reached into the box and took out a small note. When he saw the item on the note, his pupils dilated. Then, he spoke in a brisk tone. "Everyone, I'm sure you all want to know what the first lot is. This is what you're most looking forward to, the time baggage." As soon as the words fell, behind the curtain on the side, a graceful little girl slowly entered the venue pushing a covered cart. With the arrival of time burden, the whole place started to boil. Unexpectedly, the auction house went against its norm and the first item to be auctioned was a time baggage that could reverse time. What a fun thing! I didn't expect that the first lot I auctioned would be a time burden. Yet. I don't know if I can win a single item by bidding. The time baggage is out of our reach. Only those in the box have a chance to bid for it. It is exactly as discussed by those in the ordinary seats. In the box, the faces of those big shots changed when they heard that the first item to be auctioned was a time burden. But Roy's next words made them completely crazy. Time baggage, when you cover an object with the front side, red side, facing outward, the time of the covered object will reverse and appear in the past. If the reverse side, that is, the black side, is covered outward, the speed of time passing for the covered object will be accelerated, and it will appear in the future. When this item is used on a person, the maximum time span is 50 years, while the time span on the item is 500 years. It can only be used 3 times. But this item is definitely the most precious item in the history of this auction house. Just think about it. An old man becomes young again, and you become a child. It only takes a moment to gain the power of the future. Buzz. Everyone in the box felt as if their heads were about to explode. My mind is full of thoughts of wanting to get it. No one can resist the temptation of returning to youth and regaining their peak strength. Even Netero was moved at this moment. In box number 4, the wealthy man Bharat burst into tears after listening to the introduction of Time Burden. There is salvation. We can all return to our youth. We have a healthy future and time to waste. In box number 7, the face of the 4th prince of the Kajin Empire, Caledonic, began to become ferocious. Reversing time and restoring youth, this trip was really worth it. Ha ha ha. Siri, father can regain his youth. In box number 5, Pariston frowned and muttered. This is incredible. Where did you find such a prop? And President Netero, how did you get from Kukolo Mountain to Yokiksen City in just half a day? How did you disappear in the Hunter Association's office before? There have been too many mysteries recently, and Pariston is a little confused. Today, this prop that can reverse time appears. This further confirmed an idea in his mind. Something incomprehensible had appeared. Chapter 43. 80 billion. This buyer bid 80 billion. Is there anyone who can bid higher? Roy's tone was so excited that his hand holding the hammer couldn't stop shaking. In just 3 minutes, the starting price of 1 ringgit was raised to 80 billion ringgit. Time burden. So terrifying. However, the offer of 80 billion ringgits only shocked the audience for 3 seconds, and a new bid board was raised again. 90 billion. The price of box 8 has been raised by a full 10 billion. This gentleman is really a man who would make a big splash if he didn't make a move. When the price reached 90 billion, people in the ordinary seats no longer had the strength to compete with it. Next comes the battle for power in the box. When the people in the box left the stage, all the buyers in the venue became excited again. Holy shit, it's finally started. The big guys are about to start taking action. What will be the ultimate price of time baggage? Is there anyone who offers a higher price? Roy was very excited, while Mo Lin in the backcourt was smiling happily. The more lively the atmosphere, the better. In box number 4, Bharat stared at the time package on the screen, thinking about the next bidding strategy in his mind. For this auction, he raised a total of 150 billion yen, which is liquid cash. Time is still too short. Even if you add up the money that was originally intended to be used to bid for the Greed Island game, it's still only this much. 90 billion? It's definitely more than that. The final transaction price should be more than 120 billion. Bharat murmured. As he spoke, he raised his bid for the first time, 95 billion. The price has to be added little by little. Box number 4, the bid for box number 4 is 95 billion. Is there anyone with a higher bid? As Bharat raised the price, the bidding war between the boxes officially began. 100 billion. 105 billion. 110 billion. 130 billion. When the price was raised to 130 billion, the whole audience was in an uproar, and then fell silent again, falling into a brief stalemate. How can you raise the price like this? Everyone raises the price from 5 billion to above. You raised the price by 20 billion in one go. How can we play this? The bid of 13,000 crore was raised by Bharat in box number 4. Even if someone offered again, he would increase the price by 10 billion at a time. Money means nothing to him. As long as his lover can wake up and come back to life, he would rather sacrifice his entire fortune. Bharat's bid made everyone in the box unsure whether to follow up. Box 7, the 4th prince of the Kaken Empire, Caledonic, had a ferocious look on his face and looked viciously in the direction of box number 4. Siri, can't you really get more out of it? Your Highness, we only have 120 billion. We can't have any more. Siri explained. Besides, this time they only want cash, no assets to pledge, there's really no other way. Hearing these words, Calidonica's heart finally died. How abominable! How abominable! Box 3, Silva looked at Zeno beside him. Father, should we still make an offer, bid? Zeno shook his head and said, you can't compete with an aging rich man in terms of financial resources. Bharat is an ordinary person. When financial resources can be converted into lifespan, he becomes a madman. Zeno knew very well that it was meaningless to compare financially with Bharat, and although the effect of the time burden was incredible, with the existence of Mo Lin's blind box store, there was still a chance to obtain such props. Silva, let's give up this opportunity. The auction venue fell into a brief silence. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 60 seconds. Roy spoke slowly, 130 billion. Box 4 bids 130 billion. If no one bids, this time baggage will be obtained by Box 4. This is a chance to return to youth. Seeing that no one in the audience made another bid, Roy began the final countdown. The most exciting moment is coming at this time. 130 billion, first time. 130 billion, second time. 130 billion, the third time. Pa! The hammer hit the table, and the crisp sound echoed throughout the auction venue. The time burden finally went to box number 4. The highest priced item in auction history has finally been sold. Let's congratulate box number 4 and congratulate him for winning this time baggage. Due to the special nature of this auction item, the auction house has specially allowed on-site inspection in order to enhance the credibility of the auction. I wonder if box 4 agrees to this. The burden of time is, after all, still too overwhelming. This rule was added specifically to convince those who come to bid. Of course, if the buyer is unwilling, then it doesn't matter. Agree. Bharat made his voice heard throughout the auction hall through the microphone in the room. It was actually safer for him to inspect the goods on site, and his lover had already been sent to the auction lounge to wait. Bharat came out of the box. When he appeared on stage, the whole audience was in an uproar. It's him. The rich man Bharat. No wonder he's so rich. It wouldn't be surprising if it was him. But hasn't he always been interested in Greed Island? How can he use the money to bid for the time burden? Amidst the discussions, Bharat slowly came on stage. Roy also knew this wealthy man. Every year at the auction, this gentleman only went for the Greed Island game. Mr. Bharat, would you like me to operate it for you? Roy asked. Everyone. Please wait for me for a few minutes. I want to invite my lover up, spouse. Didn't Bharat's lover die long ago? Found another one? But there has been no news for so many years. It was not until a bed was pushed next to the shopkeeper that Bharat told his story. Everyone, she is my love. On the hospital bed, a blonde woman wearing a ventilator was lying quietly. Her young and beautiful face made it easy to mistake her for Bharat's granddaughter. Bharat looked at the woman on the hospital bed with deep affection, his eyes full of tenderness. I'm sure you've all heard some rumors about me. My lover and I have been subject to controversy due to our age gap. But then there was no news because my lover became a vegetable due to a traffic accident. I bought Greed Island and hired players for her. Rumor has it that there are runes in the game that can cure any disease, Archangel's breath, and witch's rejuvenation that can make people rejuvenate. Now, at this moment, I am very excited. It's been 5 years. She has been sleeping for 5 years. At this point, 2 lines of tears appeared on Bharat's face. He doesn't care about the world's eyes or his own assets. I only care about whether the lover in the hospital bed can wake up. Thank you, Roy. He looked at Roy beside him, full of expectation. Roy didn't say anything, but just walked towards the beauty on the hospital bed with the time bag. Mr. Bharat, how old is this lady now? How old do you want her to be? The ability of time baggage is to present objects in the past state. Every minute of coverage represents the flow rate of 1 year. She is already 30 years old this year. I hope she can go back to when we first met, when she was 20. Bharat thought to himself as he looked at his lover's haggard face. I hope the time burden is useful. A miracle must happen. After Roy learned of Bharat's request, he covered the woman's face with the red side of the time baggage. 10 minutes later. Under the gaze of everyone, the woman on the hospital bed spoke. Where is this? Chapter 44. When 10 minutes were up, Roy took off the time bag and saw that the woman on the bed had lost her haggard look. An exquisite and beautiful face, full of collagen. The rosy and attractive lips murmured with a hint of surprise. When a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes slowly opened, what came into view was Bharat's old face and hair. You are Bharat? My dear Bharat, you are old. Wow! Bharat could no longer control his emotions and tears welled up in his eyes like a tide. My love, Ganya, you finally woke up. A miracle is born. Ganya, who has regained her youthful face, and the elderly Bharat hugged each other tightly. The lovers who have overcome the age difference finally embraced each other again. Mr. Bharat, although I don't want to disturb you and your lover's embrace, I think you can also become as young as Ms. Ganya first. Roy reminded. Yes. 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 Ganya, please wait for me. After Bharat explained the time burden to Ganya, the lovely little beauty couldn't stop crying. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the old rich man Bharat returns to his youth. Miracle. The miracle of time baggage. This pair of lovers who were almost separated by death, because of the existence of the time burden, not only returned to their youth, but were able to enjoy love for decades to come. Let us congratulate Mr. Bharat and his lover, Ms. Ganya, for their rejuvenation. Time has done a great job in making this couple meet again. Okay, everyone, this is just a small episode in the auction process, let's move on to the next auction. The entire auction lasted for 3 hours. During these 3 hours, all the bidders fell into a state of frenzy. With the on-site witness of the time burden, the enthusiasm of the bidders was pushed to the peak. So-called, if you take the photo, you earn money. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After this time, I don't know when the next opportunity like this will come. After 3 hours of intense bidding at home. In the end, the total transaction price of all the lots was 300 billion ringgit. In the VLP room of the auction house, when Mo Lin saw this number, he couldn't help but tremble, and his thoughts were immersed in the ocean of money. 300 billion is too much to spend in a lifetime. After the auction is over, there were many unfamiliar faces inside and outside the entire auction venue. All forces were at the auction venue, and they all wanted to see Mo Lin's lineup. For this reason, people from all walks of life gathered here and blocked the place for a day and a night. But no one found any trace of Mo Lin. What's going on? It's impossible that we can't even find a single person. Are you sure that person never left the room after entering it? What class are you, questioning me? When I was blocking someone, you were still wearing open crotch pants. However, our comrade Mo Lin had already activated the god's alibi and left the auction venue with a breath taken. He has more important things to do now. Because the upgrade of the blind box store is over. Sky Arena, the blind box store of all worlds. After a few days of separation, Mo Lin returned to his base, the Wanja blind box store. The world outside is still too dangerous. Even the 9-second time stop wasn't enough to knock Krollo and his gang unconscious. From the surveillance at the auction house, Mo Lin learned that Krollo was not knocked down by the world stand. After the time stop ended, he took a few people away from the scene. As expected of the villain of the Hunter world. I'm still too unstable. It's safer to go back to the blind box store. Mo Lin walked towards the blind box store. The moment he stepped into the store, he seemed to hear a faint sound in his ears. How lonely it is to be invincible, how empty is invincibility alone at the top, the cold wind keeps blowing. Plan when Mo Lin was immersed in his fantasy, a cute little paw gave him a big slap. He gasped, looked at the little fire dragon in front of him in pain, and said angrily. Why did you hit me? Wow, wow. Stop dreaming, your house has been robbed. Charmander pointed at the empty blind box shop and was so anxious that he almost spoke. Only then did Mo Lin see the scene in the blind box store clearly. There is nothing in the entire blind box store except the walls painted with white latex paint. I have such a big counter. And my comfy recliner. Why is there no bedroom door? What's the fuss? System. Get out here. Mo Lin shouted into the air. The upgraded blind box store really overwhelmed him. If the blind box store's facade had not changed, he would have really suspected that he had walked into the wrong store. Host, please calm down. This is the second-level blind box store. This upgrade has turned the old, dilapidated, and small store into a fully renovated one. This is a big improvement. The system explained. Fine decoration? Do you think I've never done it? I studied environmental design in college, and you just painted it with latex paint and told me it's fine decoration. Are you kidding me? What Mo Lin hates most is being cheated on by others about decoration, which is an insult to his profession. Host, don't be impatient. Take a look, isn't the space in the blind box store much larger than before? The original warehouse and bedroom were simply changed to a hidden door design. They did not disappear. I will explain the details of this upgrade to you. Second level blind box shop. 1 new blind box varieties, primary blind box, 1 million yuan. Intermediate blind box, 1000 WGNI. Premium blind box, 100 million genie. Legend blind box, 1000 blind box points. Epic blind box, 10,000 blind box points. Note, the rarer and more valuable the item, the higher the blind box points you can redeem in a blind box store. 2 added new item level classification and upgrade. Current item levels, white, purple, gold, and colorful. 3 new mall sections, discount section, home section, discount section. The original blind box mall could only purchase designated items, and they were very expensive. Now, the blind box mall has launched a discount section. Many items are discounted every week. There's even a colorful item on sale this week, colorful hex, compound interest. Colored items, color hexly compound interest. The blind box points in the blind box store every day have a daily interest rate of 2 points. 100 blind box points you can have 102 blind box points the next day, and so on. However, the price of this colorful hex is still frighteningly high even at a 30% discount. 50W blind box points. It won't be complete without eating or drinking. Another point is that the mall is now open to customers who hold blind box store purchase cards. Home section, all the decoration facilities in the blind box store must be purchased in the home mall. From a box of toothbrushes to a refrigerator, they must be purchased at the place designated by the system. The currency used is genie. This is still very Ginkgo-like. 4 new business segments. In order to give customers a better blind box purchasing experience, the blind box store has specially launched a business section. System issues tasks. Every customer who holds a blind box store purchase card can accept the task. There are corresponding blind box points for completing tasks. The business segment is also divided into 2 parts, customer tasks and host tasks. This means that Mo Lin can also earn blind box points by working. Not humane at all. These are the upgrades for this blind box store, a total of 4 items. To sum up, 1. There are 2 more types of blind boxes, legendary blind box and epic blind box, but they can only be purchased with blind box points. 2. There is 1 more level of blind box items, color level. 3. The mall has 2 more sections, the discount section and the home section. The mall is open to customers with purchase cards and can be purchased using blind box points. 4. You can issue tasks to hosts and customers to earn blind box points. Mo Lin has somewhat seen through the routine of the blind box store system. Isn't this forcing the customers of the blind box store to take action to earn blind box points? Because of the upgrade of the blind box store, the system also released the first task. Chapter 45. Mission, The True Appearance of Greed Island. There is a magical game in this world, Greedy Island. The blind box store is very curious about the true face of the Greedy Island game. Participate in the Greedy Island game, discover the secrets, organize them into materials, and hand them over to the blind box store. The rewards are divided according to each person's task completion. The blind box store reward is 100,000 blind box points, 1 million GNI is worth 1 blind box point and cannot be redeemed. The task is to form a team and the current number of registered people is 0/4. Mission time, 7 days. Task attributes, customer task and host task. This item is only visible to Mo Lin. Buzz. At 6 o'clock in the evening, the system released the task. When Mo Lin saw this task, he was overwhelmed. 7 days? What a joke. No one has cleared Greed Island for years. Mo Lin knew clearly that as a famous Greed Island game in Hunter World, even the protagonists Killua and Gon took several months to complete it. But, to be honest, even though the task was difficult, Mo Lin was still very tempted. 10W blind box points. If this is converted into monks, that would be 100 billion monks. Even if 4 people have to share 100,000 blind box points, he is willing to do so. After all, completing it is a huge profit. And, most importantly, Mo Lin does not participate in the cashback when customers purchase blind box items. This forced Mo Lin to participate in the mission. There is something special about this blind box system. Mo Lin in the blind box store used his hand speed, which had lasted for 20 years as a single man, to quickly click the accept button with a time difference of 0.01 second. He was the first to bear the brunt of the task force. Mission: The True Appearance of Greed Island. Mission Personnel: 1/4, Mo Lin. Because you are the first person to join the mission, you will automatically be appointed as the team leader. You can create your own group for easy communication. Oh? You can create groups now. Create a group, Qinglong Study Group. Ding Qinglong Study Group has been established. 5 minutes later, you will be forcibly teleported to the entrance scene of Greedy Island, and you will enter the game as a player of Greedy Island. Come on, young man. On the other hand, old customers who hold purchase cards all over the world have received the latest information released by the blind box store system. Gon Killua, Zeno, Silva, and Ilmi from the Zaldik family. The president of the Hunter Association, Netero. And Hisoka, who is having dinner with Ren Ran. These are all the people who currently have purchase cards for the blind box store. When the announcement was made, everyone's purchase card made a buzzing sound. Yokiksen City, Hisoka was sitting in a kebab shop eating skewers with his friend when he felt a vibration in his pocket. Being sensitive, he immediately took out the purchase card from his pocket. Because of the system upgrade, the card that was originally just an ordinary plastic texture has become a smooth glass screen. However, this screen is really thinner than a 1 yuan coin, far ahead. On the screen, announcements about blind box stores poured out like a tide. Ding, the latest announcement from Wanja Blind Box Store. Ding, the Wanja Blind Box Store has been upgraded, and more services are waiting for you to choose. Ding, the Wanja Blind Box Store mission has been updated, first come first served. The 3 pinned messages flashed by at an extremely fast speed and were drowned out by the subsequent messages, but the sharp-eyed Hisoka still saw the word mission. What are the tasks issued by the blind box store? First come first served? Where there are tasks, there should be rewards. First come, first served means the quantity is limited. Hisoka immediately thought of the blind boxes in the blind box store. Plus, a big red accept box in the lower right corner of the purchase card caught his attention. Click. Mission: The True Appearance of Greed Island. Mission Crew: 2/4, Mo Lin, Hisoka. When entering the task interface, Hisoka was really shocked by the task reward of 100,000 blind box points. After the blind box store was upgraded, 2 new types of blind boxes appeared. Legendary Blind Box and Epic Blind Box. These 2 types of blind boxes can only be redeemed with blind box points. According to the information in the announcement, 1 million GNI is only worth 1 blind box point. And you can't use Genie to redeem blind box points. From this point of view, the value of these 100,000 blind box points is extremely high. 10 minutes left. Hisoka had an idea and used the purchase card to meet Mo Lin in the blind box store. Another group of people who are also in Yokiksen City, Gon and Killua, who were staying in the hotel room at the moment, received the news at the same time. The slight vibration in his pocket immediately alerted him. Take out the purchase card from your pocket. Gon, the blind box store has updated a new announcement, it's so long. Killua's eyes became blurry as he looked at the long string of text on the purchase card. A big red accept box in the lower right corner of the purchase card caught his attention. Killua, what is this thing? Accept. Gon had already taken out his purchase card at this time, and he looked at the word accept in the lower right corner of the purchase card. The red accept button seemed to have infinite magic, attracting him, and a ruthless little hand clicked on the accept button. Congratulations, you have accepted the new task of the system. The current team consists of 3/4 people, Mo Lin, Hisoka, G Freaks, Ding, you have been added to the group, Greedy Exploration Team. Please reunite with your team as soon as possible. Good luck with your mission. A series of words appeared on the purchase card, leaving Gon a little confused. He raised his purchase card and looked at Killua, and asked, Killua, I seem to have accepted a mission. Killua? Because the update announcement of the blind box store and the release information of the task are close to each other. However, the red box for accepting the task is in the corner of the purchase card, which is extremely conspicuous, causing many people to be curious about this button. Gon, you have to hurry to the blind box store. Among the mission personnel is Boss Mo Lin. You can go to the blind box store to meet him. The careful Killua immediately realized the key. A place that everyone knows and can go to right away is Mo Lin's Wanja blind box store. Buzz. Gon thought and disappeared in front of Killua. Our final mission member is President Netero, who just parted ways with the Zaldik family. When the old man has nothing to do, he likes to hold the purchase card and swipe it between his fingers. When the blind box store announcement for purchasing cards was updated, he took some time to read all the information. Click Accept. Mission, The True Appearance of Greed Island. Mission Personnel, 4/4, Mo Lin, Hisoka, J Freaks, Isaac Netero. Yahoo! Boss Mo Lin is leading the team. It looks like this mission is going to be very interesting. In a flash, Netero disappeared from the spot. Chapter 46. Sky Arena. Inside the Wanja blind box store. The 4 people participating in this mission are now gathering in the blind box store. After the 4 of them pressed the accept button, they immediately went to Mo Lin's blind box store. Looking at the 3 people present, Mo Lin spoke. Everyone, I believe everyone already knows the content of this mission. This is a new way of playing opened by the Wanja blind box store. In order to allow customers to enjoy better blind box services, our latest legendary blind boxes and epic blind boxes are all available for purchase with blind box points. This is also to encourage everyone to discover more strange and bizarre things in the world. If it is an unknown item that has never been recorded in the human world, you can redeem more blind box points in the blind box store. I will lead the team for this mission. After entering the game, we can communicate using the Qinglong study group in the purchase card. Mo Lin briefly introduced to the 3 people some key contents about blind boxes in the blind box store. From this update, Mo Lin realized a problem. The blind box system seemed to intentionally guide him and his customers to explore the unknown. In this hunter world, for humans, there is only one place where unknown things exist, that is the Dark Continent. Judging from the map of Hunter's world, the human continent is just located on the huge Lake Mobius in the center of the Dark Continent. Moreover, it's just a small island in the lake. Exploring the Dark Continent also became an idea in Mo Lin's mind. When Mo Lin was still thinking about the Dark Continent and the blind box store, in the crowd, President Netero frowned slightly. Boss Mo Lin, can we understand the judging criteria for this mission as clearing Greed Island? Submit the information about Greed Island to the blind box store for evaluation, and divide the rewarded blind box points according to the completion of the task. Yes. Mo Lin nodded. Wait, Boss Mo Lin, I have a question. Who will judge the completion of the task? Hisoka asked with a smile. This question has actually been in Hisoka's mind since the moment he accepted the task. The task was issued by the blind box store, and Mo Lin, as the owner of the blind box store, also joined the task. But this feels very unreasonable. The only explanation is that Boss Mo Lin just wanted to find a reason to give these blind boxes to these customers. Let them go to the blind box consumption points and buy blind boxes. Is this the thinking of the strong? Hisoka is puzzled. Mo Lin shook his head and smiled without saying anything. Should I tell you that I am actually a worker as well? I also have to work hard to complete tasks in order to earn blind box points. That's too low a standard. As the owner of a blind box store, I can't fall off the horse. No answer is the best answer. In the eyes of Hisoka and the other 2, Mo Lin's shaking head was very meaningful. In the perception of several people, there are many incredible items opened from the blind boxes in the blind box store, similar to a time burden that reverses time. This existence beyond common sense makes all customers hold Mo Lin's image very high in their hearts. In their opinion, since Mo Lin is the owner of the blind box store, he is also the provider of these blind boxes. When Hisoka asked this question, he was also very nervous. After all, Boss Mo Lin's strength is obvious to all, and this question seems to be somewhat offensive to Mo Lin. This question was forgotten in silence. 10 minutes are up. The screen flashed, and the 4 people appeared in the starting scene of the game. Several high walls with strange patterns like circuit boards tightly form a decagonal pattern. Mo Lin, who had just arrived here, looked at the high walls curiously. The blue light flashing with strange patterns brought a great visual impact to Mo Lin, and the sense of déjà vu like a science fiction movie made him immersed in it. Is this an immersive reality VR game? So cool! Mo Lin exclaimed. Mo Lin walked along the passage that appeared on the wall and came to a room that was also covered with circuit board patterns. As soon as I entered the room, a mechanical girl floating in the air looked at Mo Lin with a smile. Welcome to the world of one Guarani. Squeak. A silver-white ring appeared on the index finger of Mo Lin's right hand. The sudden change made Mo Lin look at the ring in his hand. The silver-white ring exudes a faint white glow. Is this the prop for the Greed Island game? Mo Lin thought to himself. At this time, the voice of the mechanical girl reached Mo Lin's ears. Hello. Mr. Mo Lin. Now let me explain to you how to play the game. In this game, anyone who wears the ring can use two kinds of magic. That is book and gain. Please stretch out the hand with the ring and shout book. Under the guidance of the mechanical girl, Mo Lin raised his right hand and shouted, book. Then, a puff of smoke floated out of the ring, and an ancient book with layers of circles printed on the cover floated in the air. In the game, you can turn all the props you get into cards. This is the book for organizing cards. The purpose of this game is to finish the book. Please open the first page of the book. Opening the first page of the book, the card slot numbered 000 is clearly visible on the paper. Starting from the second page, there are card slots numbered from 001 to 009. No cards have been put into the book yet, and each box has a number printed in it. Only cards with the same number can be put into the grid. This is called a designated pocket. Please continue to flip back to the card slot without a number. Wow! Turn the pages. This kind of grid without numbers is called a free pocket. There are 100 designated pockets from No 000 to No 099, and 45 free pockets. Matching the 100 cards to the correct positions is the condition for passing the level. Is it enough to collect 100 cards? Mo Lin asked. Yes, strictly speaking, you have to collect 100 items, turn them into cards and put them in the book. Once the item is in hand, it will turn into a card. For example, if you get a sword, while holding it, it will turn into a card. This way, you can put the card in the book, but you can't use it as a weapon. To weaponize the cards, we need to use the magic of gain. Once a card is gain, it cannot be restored to a card. Please pay special attention to this. To turn the sword into a card again, you must obtain the same sword again. Mo Lin listened carefully to the rules of the Greed Island game. The mechanical girl continued. In addition, there are two situations where it cannot be transformed into a card. Chapter 47. One is when the item's cardization limit reaches its limit. Mo Lin, who was in the Greed Island game for the first time, listened carefully. All items on this island have a card limit. Some have a limit of up to 100 tickets, while others only have 3. Mo Lin, hi? The mechanical girl continued, take 3 cards as an example. If 3 players turn their respective items into cards, there will be 3 cards in total. At this point, even if other players discover that item, they can no longer turn it into a card. This is called the card number reaching the limit. There is one more circumstance. The cards must be included in the book. 60 seconds after the card leaves the book, it will turn back into a prop. It can no longer be carded again at this point. Please keep this in mind and work hard to finish this book. Finally, there is one most important issue. Once the player dies in the game, the book and ring will be destroyed, and all the cards inside will disappear. Please be sure to pay attention. The above is the most basic description of the game rules. Please find the specific information yourself after entering the game. Good luck to you. Go down that staircase, please. Following the direction of the mechanical girl's finger, a staircase leading downwards appeared on the wall. Mo Lin walked along the wall of the cylinder and down the spiral staircase. In the passage, mosses crawl on the mottled and cracked walls, and the load-bearing stone pillars supporting the building reveal an ancient atmosphere. After walking for an unknown amount of time, a blinding light shone from the end of the passage. Buzz! The endless grassland came into Mo Lin's sight. Is this the world inside the game? It's so real. Mo Lin's tone revealed a hint of excitement. Being familiar with the original work, he knew that this game was actually an in-game using a certain place in the real world as a game scene. There are so many people. As soon as he entered the grassland, Mo Lin felt that there were several pairs of eyes watching him on the endless grassland. Boss Mo Lin. Gon's voice sounded from behind. Gon, slow down. Netero looked at the energetic Gon and said with concern. Hisoka stood at the back, looking at everything around him with a pair of snake-like eyes. Everyone. I believe you all know the rules of the game, right? The task of the blind box store is to submit information about Greed Island. My suggestion is to finish it quickly. As soon as he entered the game, the word speed attack came to Mo Lin's mind. Hello, hey. The members of this 4-member team can be called the most luxurious 4-member team in the Hunter world. Time traveler and owner of the Wanja blind box store, Mo Lin. The protagonist of the Hunter world, a 12-year-old elementary school student with top talent, J-Freaks. Isaac Netero, the strongest man in the human race and the president of the Hunter Association. One of the most popular villains, a pervert with infinite personality charm, Hisoka. Good. Netero alone can sweep the game. Quick attack. Netero twirled his graying beard and frowned. The conditions for clearing the game are simple. Just collect all the cards. There should be no one in this world who is stronger than me and Netero. Whoever has more cards will get theirs. Mo Lin said with a smile. Everyone, split up. Bounty City, Andakaba. The first step in the game Greed Island is to find a city with people and obtain useful information. Halfway through, Netero and Hisoka left the team and scattered to different parts of the game. Mo Lin took Gon and followed the city's instructions to find the town known as the Bounty City in the game, Andakaba. The most interesting setting of this game is, using the card magic in the game. Daddy once said, only magic can defeat magic. Boss Mo Lin, there's a town ahead. We're here. Gon shouted excitedly when he saw a magenta building not far away. Entering the streets of Andakaba, Mo Lin looked around curiously. The town style here is very similar to that of some small Western European countries, with houses 3 or 2 stories high. The first floor is used for business, and tourists sitting in groups of 3 or 4 drinking coffee on the roadside. Walking on the roadside, various reward notices are posted on the walls of every store. Even notices like looking for your beloved dog are posted there. Looking for your dog. The dog owner is willing to reward anyone who finds his beloved dog with the cursed statue of the goddess of luck. Boss Mo Lin, are we going to do this mission? We can get a card. Doing a mission? What mission? That's so slow. Mo Lin pointed at the crowd gathering around him. Find the person with the most cards, have a friendly conversation with him, and ask him to give us the cards on his own initiative. Gone, The busy streets of Andanibal, everyone's eyes were fixed on the newlyweds who had just arrived in town. The appearance of new faces also made many old people in Andakaba have strange thoughts. At a roadside stall, a bunch of middle-aged people were drinking coffee. Hey! Look, another rookie who just entered the game. Just look at their silly faces, with curiosity written all over their faces. Let's go and tease him. Boom! Before the two men could react, a pair of huge hands grabbed their heads and slammed them hard on the table in front of them. Finally, embed the head into the stone slab on the ground. The two of them instantly lost their ability to resist, their teeth shattered, and blood flowed along the stone slabs. Hey! Being young is great, why are you falling asleep right away? I'll give you a chance. It's game over, or just hand over the cards to me. A kind young man is communicating with others in a friendly manner. After a conversation, Mo Lin obtained some more useful information. The means of attack in the game rely on spell cards, and only spell cards can be used to defend against spell cards. In this game, there are no spells that can kill people. There are a total of 40 spells, including attack, movement, defense, investigation. Mo Lin learned from the two people just now that they used investigative spells to attack him and obtained his information, new players. In the game, there are roughly 3 ways to get item cards. The first one, find it yourself. The second method, exchange with other players. The third method, snatch it from other players. With the system of difficulty of obtaining and the limited number of cards that can be turned into cards, sometimes even if you get the card, you cannot turn it into a card because the number of cards that can be turned into cards has been reached. Moreover, it is too difficult to obtain them, and some cards can never be obtained by yourself. This vicious cycle lasted for several years, like a taut string that was about to break. As a result, the number of people scrambling for the cards increased rapidly. Use violence to snatch, intimidate, or beat other players, forcing them to hand over their card collection books and take away the cards. Kill those who refuse to hand over the card collection book no matter how hard you fight them. You won't get any cards just by killing your opponent. But Mo Lin doesn't plan to use this method, he has a better way. Chapter 48 On the other hand, Hisoka, who left the team, chose the easiest way. Violently snatch other people's cards. In a forest, Hisoka stood on the top of a tree, looking at 4 players who were beating up others in the forest. Give it to me or not. Hand it over. Bang, fists like raindrops kept falling on the man who was curled up on the ground. He shouted loudly, "You bunch of robbers, I will never give you the card." Boom. A stick hit the fallen man's ankle hard. Kara. The crisp sound of bones breaking pierced Hisoka's ears. Ah! A pig-slaughtering howl came out of the man's mouth, and the pain in his ankle almost made him faint. "Kill him," said the bearded man among the 4 viciously. His eyes were bloodshot. The man in front of him had been fighting for almost half an hour but refused to hand over the card. "Since I can't get the card, I won't waste my time." A cold knife flashed across the neck, and blood gushed out like a small fountain. After 2 or 3 seconds, the corpses on the ground slowly dissipated like broken data. Game over. Another player has ended his life in the game. Hisoka, standing on the thick tree trunk, licked his lips and looked at everything in front of him with amusement. It's really gross and not pretty at all. At the beginning of the game, Hisoka chose to separate from Mo Lin and others. He didn't know Mo Lin's character very well, but he knew his own character very well. Collecting cards was a very simple thing. Parasite line Teng. Several transparent threads shot out from Hisoka's hands and entangled the 4 people on the ground. Boom. The skinny man who was holding the stick hit the bearded man on the back of his head with the stick. The bearded man felt a burst of pain and looked at the thin man angrily. "Callan, you dare to hit me, do you want to die?" Yes, I'm sorry, boss. I can't control myself." The sudden change made Karen's originally cunning look turn into one full of fear. He felt like a controlled puppet and began to attack his teammates uncontrollably. There was a flash of knife light, and another man with a big belly chopped off his beard with a machete. Fortunately, the bearded man was alert and dodged the sword. "Burrs, are you going to rebel?" 1, then 2, began to turn against him and attack him. The bearded man looked at the 3rd teammate, a gentle man wearing glasses. "Kaiser, have you been planning to rebel for a long time? You even persuaded my 2 brothers to rebel." Call out Bulls, holding the machete, took the opportunity to chop at the gentle Kaiser. The scene became chaotic because of Burrs's knife. "I can't control myself. Boss, help. Why, who is behind this?" "Ah!" Hisoka's expression on the tree trunk became more and more ferocious. He loved watching the scene of killing each other. The expression was filled with fear and confusion, and death was filled with reluctance and confusion. Even the controlled torso can't even take out the book. Ordinary people can't even resist at this moment. He. Until the moment the 4 men fell to the ground and died, their eyes were still full of confusion and unwillingness. "Why would my good brother kill me? Who is controlling us?" Bang! 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 4 consecutive explosions were heard, and the 4 brothers who were fighting each other suddenly had a flash of light in their waists and abdomens, and were blown into 2. Died on the spot. Hisoka's mouth curled up. "Ah! I was having so much fun that I forgot to force them to hand over the cards in the book. And you, snatching my prey, do you want to die?" A pair of cold eyes shot towards a bush in the west, and vigorous mental power surged out of his body, and a black aura lingered around Hisoka. Hisoka is angry now. From the very beginning, he felt that someone was staring at him all the time. He wanted to play with his prey and then deal with it, but he ended up killing his prey. Super whip! Hisoka leaped into the air, leaped towards the bushes, and thrust his right palm towards them. Dozens of nearly transparent thin silk threads spurted out from the palm of the hand, and the threads intertwined together to form a thick thread column as thick as hair. Leave in the bushes, a man with blonde hair, a long face, a square chin and glasses jumped into the air. Use spell card, leave to escape from here. Run away? Hisoka looked at the man with glasses who was leaving, a chill in his eyes. Interesting, is he the bomb maniac? So interesting. New prey. Here, Netero, who was searching for cards, found an interesting old acquaintance. Biscuit Kruger. Collecting cards is easy if you have acquaintances. In the alleys of the streets, a little blonde girl with blue eyes looked at the 2 wretched men blocking her way with tears in her eyes. There was even some crying in her tone. What are you going to do? The delicate little hands covered her mouth helplessly, with a hint of fear in her eyes. Netero stood on the roof, looking at Biscuit Kruger in front of him and scratched his head. If he wasn't very familiar with the other person's telekinesis, he really wouldn't have recognized him. She's almost 60, and still so unstable. But wasn't she a muscular girl before? In the alley, two wretched men were getting closer and closer to Bisji. Little sister, why are you here alone? Would you like to take a look at Big Brother's big goldfish? The wretched, greasy fat man with broken and yellow teeth laughed, hee hee. There is undisguised obscene desire in his eyes. No, don't. Brother, what are you going to do? I'm so scared. Rough voice after transformation. Wow. The delicate and thin Bisji freed herself from her restraints and pushed her explosive muscles in front of the two men. Big brother, do you want to play some games with me? Bisky raised her big muscular arms and taught the two wretched men a lesson. Ah! In the alley, miserable screams kept echoing. After a moment, Bisji clapped her hands and turned back into a little loli, walking out of the alley. Two wretched men. How dare you target me? Tisk. Bisji, who had nothing to do, was strolling on the street, and just now, she discovered an interesting pair. A young man with a small child and two novices collecting cards. She planned to take a look. Bisji. A familiar voice came into Bisji's ears. She stopped and looked behind her. A street with no one on it. Is it an illusion? Why do I hear President Netero's voice? When she turned around again, an old man with white beard waved at her with a smile. President Netero. Chapter 49. Meet President Netero in the Greed Island game? Biscuit thought her eyes were blurry. She couldn't stop rubbing her eyes with both hands. Her small hands couldn't help but gently stroke President Netero in front of her. Warm touch. Familiar voice. And tight muscles. President Netero, it's really you. Bisky exclaimed loudly. Why are you here? Because of a mission. Little Bisky. When Netero saw Bisky, he had a new idea in his mind. The best way to find out the truth about Greed Island within a week is to obtain all the cards and clear the level. The best way to get cards is of course, snatch them. However, Netero didn't want to use this method. How many cards will Biscuit have in her hand? Mission. Bisky looked at Netero in confusion. Task? How can you be so high-ranking that my President Netero can do it personally? Netero simply told Bisky the purpose of his coming to Greedy Island and expressed his thoughts. Bisky, is there any famous murderer in Greed Island? That's right. Netero didn't really want to steal the cards, but time was limited, so the final compromise was to steal the cards from the murderers. A murderer. Bisky lowered her head in thought. The three words Bomber appeared in Bisky's mind. There is a very famous serial killer named Bomber. His identity was revealed a few days ago. He was originally a game player hired by the wealthy Bharat. Just 2 days ago, for some reason, Bharat revoked the 50 billion ringgit reward for clearing the game. Several waves of gamers hired by Bharat also chose to quit the game one after another. However, one of the hired guns named Ganshu suddenly revealed his identity as a bomb maniac and threatened everyone to hand over the cards. I heard that he ended up killing quite a few people. If you want to find a murderer, he's the first person that comes to mind, and his cards are almost the most complete. After listening to Bisky's words, Netero suddenly remembered the time when Bharat and his lover returned to their youth at the auction house in Yokiksan City. I do know the reason why Bharat gave up the reward for clearing the game. A few days ago, at the auction in Yokiksan City, several incredible items appeared. Among them is a time bag that can reverse time. Bharat used the time bag to reverse the time of his unconscious lover and return her to a healthy 20-year-old state. He himself also reversed 50 years of time and returned to youth. Netero explained. Biscuit looked at Netero with a puzzled look on his face, but the determined expression on Netero's face made him realize that this must be true. Ah! What's going on? I've only been in the game for a month. How come such incredible items appeared in the outside world? Bisky didn't want to believe it. That's a chance to turn back time and return to youth. Let me ask you, which woman in her 60s doesn't want to regain her youth? Master, what happened in the outside world? Well, Netero groaned and told the story of Mo Lin's blind box store. Netero has always been troubled by the existence of blind box stores, simply because the existence of blind box stores is something that the human world cannot control. At present, only a small number of people know about the existence of blind box stores. Moreover, the blind box store's purchasing method of purchasing magical blind boxes with money does not limit any customer. That is to say, anyone can come to the blind box store to buy blind boxes. Anyone can come to the blind box store, including good people and bad people, and even non-human beings. Moreover, blind box stores always intentionally or unintentionally push buyers on a journey to the dark continent. Why is that? Netero shook his head and put his messy thoughts behind him. Once people get older, they start to think too much. You cannot control the changes in the future by yourself. The only way to realize it is to continuously earn blind box points and enhance your strength. After learning about the existence of the blind box store, all of Bisji's doubts were dispelled in an instant. I became even more excited when I learned that Mo Lin, the owner of the blind box store, was taking Netero on tasks to earn blind box points. President Netero, I'm taking you to find the bomb demon Ganshu. Let's go this way. At the same time, Mo Lin and Gon, who were wandering in Andakaba, also found a new target. After a day of thinking, Mo Lin persuaded Gon to snatch the cards from the murderers. In the square in the center of Andakaba town, on a huge billboard standing on the roadside, 2 people tall, the bounty notice for the 3 members of the bomb demon group was posted in the most conspicuous position on the notice board. The bomb trio. Ganshu, Shabu, Bala. The 3 men behaved badly, killed countless people, and were good at scheming. A few days ago, after Bharat revoked the 50 billion reward, Ganshu and the other 2 performed human body separation surgery on the players who were hired together. Intimidation, beatings, explosions. This made these players hate him, so they collected all the cards in the team as a bounty. We want to make the bomb trio suffer a fate worse than death. Mo Lin and Gon stood in front of the sign. Boss Mo Lin, this bomb demon is so abominable. Seeing the description of the bomb demon on the bounty, Gon felt a surge of anger towards this murderous maniac. Plus a high card reward. He was moved. Sila. Mo Lin tore off the reward notice and put it in his pocket. Let's go. Gon, notify the group, target, the bomb maniac. Buy the card. Qinglong study group Gon, boss Mo Lin took the bounty of the bomber Ganshu, and his bounty includes many cards. Mo Lin, everyone, next up, our target, the bomber. Hisoka, he. Boss Mo Lin's idea coincides with mine. Netero, hey? I was just about to go find him. Mo Lin, out. In an instant, the members of the Qinglong study group who received the news began to look for the trace of the bomb maniac Ganshu. Here, Ganshu, Shabu and Bala were squatting in the forest watching the passers-by. He has gone crazy ever since Bharat revoked all the bounties. Without the reward target of 50 billion Genie, Ganshu only had perverted thoughts in his mind. Keep hunting and keep killing. On the one hand, I want to collect cards to pass the level, and on the other hand, it also satisfies the despicable and perverted thoughts in my heart. Boss, you said before that we found a new prey, a guy named Hisoka. Are we still going? Bala asked. He. Ganshu's face was ferocious. Go. Why not? Kill him. I'll be happier. When he met Hisoka, he felt a sense of mutual understanding. A strong desire arose in my mind, to kill him. A two-way run between perverts. Chapter 50. People say it's hard to find someone, but Mo Lin doesn't think it's that hard. Finding Kane at 11 o'clock in the evening, Mo Lin was lying on the bed in the hotel, and Gon beside him was already breathing evenly. Fell asleep. I really envy children who can fall asleep the moment they lie down on the bed. Sigh. Mo Lin put his hands under his head and sighed. After searching for Ganshu for a whole day, he didn't see even a single hair. With his observation haki fully activated, he searched for Ganshu in several surrounding towns for a long time but couldn't sense his presence. Master Mo, who was tired after a day's work, lay on the bed, mumbling, "How can I find someone?" Today, he originally wanted to go to the system mall to see if there were any items for humans, but he suddenly remembered that he didn't have any blind box points at all. Just put this matter behind you. But now, a bold idea popped into his mind, loan. Mo Lin, who wanted to complete tasks to earn blind box points, opened the system mall. Search, missing Kane. Missing Kane, 10,000 blind box points. Mo Lin? Hey. This price is too expensive. System. Can I buy it only once? Mo Lin discussed. System? Yes, you can, 1000 blind box points at a time, but I checked your account and it seems that you don't have any blind box points. You are a profiteer. The original price is only 10,000 blind box points, and you can get 1000 blind box points by using it once. Mo Lin exclaimed excitedly. Fake businessman. Absolutely a profiteer. Can I buy it on credit? Mo Lin said angrily. After all, it is a second-level blind box store. According to the previous settings at the first level, the system will not tell you what other functions it has unless you ask. There's no harm in asking. Sure. The interest is calculated on a daily basis. 10% every day. Mo Lin, hi? 10% a day? Do you want to hear what you're talking about? System, are you drifting away, or am I unable to lift the knife anymore? Those usurers are not even worthy to carry shoes in your presence. After a round of bargaining, Mo Lin finally gave in and borrowed 1000 blind box points with an interest rate of 10%. After purchasing the missing person cane, Mo Lin's heart was broken, but when he thought of the task reward of 100,000 blind box points, he felt a little better. Gon, get ready to go, find the bomber. Mo Lin jumped onto Gon's bed and shook him. Not awake. A minute later, Gon woke up from the bed, covering his face. Boss Mo Lin, why do I feel a little pain in my face after sleeping? It's right that my face hurts. Waking up in the middle of the night, when I was a kid I also woke up in the middle of the night in the summer and my face hurt too. Okay, no more nonsense. I have a way to find Ganshu. Mo Lin conjured up a searching staff from space. This thing is called a searching staff. It will lead us to Ganshu. Since we have limited time to use it, let's set off immediately. Ah? Then Boss Mo Lin, why didn't you take it out during the day? Gon asked puzzledly. Don't dwell on this issue, just get going now. Can I tell you that I just bought this with a loan? Why does the child talk so much? Mo Lin thought to himself. He ignored the sleepy Gon and placed the searching stick in his hand on the ground, muttering to himself. Looking for Ganshu. Pa. The searching stick received the signal from the owner and fell straight to the ground in the direction of the south. Let's go. South. The next day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Meanwhile, Ganshu, who was wandering in the forest with his companions in search of Hisoka, and the other 2 members of the bomb demon group sat on a fallen dead tree to rest. Ganshu, will that person be here? Asked Shabu, who was sweating all over. I have been searching for a whole day, but still haven't seen any trace of that person. Shabu, you don't understand. The first time I saw that guy, I thought he was a pervert. He looked at me like he was prey. I just don't know who the prey is. Ganshu laughed grimly. The soft are afraid of the hard, and the hard are afraid of those who are not afraid of death. This is the synonym of Ganshu. Sweet and soothing. The leader of the bomb demon trio. He has a long face, a square chin, wears glasses, is forbearing and cruel, acts cautiously but quite meanly, but is very loyal to his companions. Manipulators are people who train with the goal of killing their opponents and have excellent physical skills. Attributes: Best Actor. Lurking in the Pogwan group for 5 years. After the Pogwan group was disbanded, everyone received a severance pay, but compared with the 50 billion genie, this severance pay was a drop in the bucket. Now Ganshu just wants to release the depression in this game world. Having lost his goal of making money, his psychology has gradually become distorted. Killing is fun here. Looking at the eyes of those people who died inexplicably, he felt extremely satisfied in his heart. His courage to take Hisoka as prey stems from his Nen, manipulator / a pinch of gunpowder, the sound of life. A pinch of gunpowder, an instant version of the sound of life, covering your hands with powerful thoughts to protect your hands, and then touching the opponent's body to explode. Although the power is not as strong as the sound of life, it still has a strong lethality, opponents with weaker thoughts than your own. The sound of life, touch the other person's body and say the keyword, bomb demon to install the bomb. The person who is installed must touch Ganshu and say I caught the bomb demon to disarm the bomb. Explaining one's Nen in detail to the installer is a condition for activating the voice of life. The bomb countdown is 6000, and the countdown speed is the heart rate of the person being installed. When the number reaches 0, the bomb will automatically explode. In addition, when you and your two partners put your thumbs together and shout the keyword, liberation, all previously installed bombs can be detonated immediately, and there seems to be no distance limit. He wanted to blow Hisoka's body apart. He wanted to see the look of fear and confusion on the pervert's face. He. The more Ganshu thought about it, the more excited he became. Crash! Crash! There was a sound of leaves rubbing against each other in the bushes not far away, and the sudden sound caught Ganshu's attention. Someone is coming. Shabu, Bara, before we find Hisoka, let's teach this sudden person a lesson. Ganshu could no longer suppress the desire to kill. Sizzle! The grass in front of Ganshu was pushed aside by a hand, and two young faces, one tall and one short, appeared in front of Ganshu. The actor Ganshu's originally ferocious face immediately became kind. He smiled and looked at the two young men in front of him. Hello, you. Boom. The tall young man's pupils dilated when he saw Ganshu for the first time. The corners of his mouth first rose, and then his eyes widened and glared. He took a bow step and rushed towards Ganshu. His white and smooth arms were covered with a layer of black substance, and he hit Ganshu with a powerful blow. Your name is Ganshu, right? You're asking for death. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.